What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 10,000 Thunder beat Kizaru 1TT Chapter 1 Someone Who Shouldn't Exist. Sabaody Archipelago, Area 13. Levi, you killed the celestial dragons today, and the bounty will be doubled again. Oh, yes, if you are allowed to live any longer, even Whitebeard's bounty will pale in comparison to you. Perusalino put his hands in his pockets and stared at the young man in front of him. The unique bubbles of Sabaody Archipelago rise from the ground where the tree roots are intertwined, refracting the sunlight into colorful brilliance, which is reflected in the dark pupils of the young man. This man has short, messy black hair and an angular, resolute face. He is about 2 meters tall, and the collar of his shirt is slightly open, revealing muscle lines like a knife. Holding a branch in the hand, it naturally points on the ground, giving people a leisurely feeling of going on vacation. I didn't do anything evil, but the bounty keeps getting higher and higher. Levi shook his head slightly, not agreeing with the bounty. Perusalino said. After all, you are now the most wanted target of bounty hunters around the world, but you have been repeatedly failed, so the bounty has to be high. Perusalino chuckled, and a strange look flashed in his eyes. Actually, I'm very distressed. People like you shouldn't exist. Oh, maybe that's not right. It should be that people like you shouldn't be walking around in the world. Levi fell silent. As Perusalino put it, his bounty grew. It has been almost 2 years since I came to this world, and the bounty has reached 1 billion belly, not counting the killing of celestial dragons today. When this matter fertilizes, his bounty will probably double to a terrifying 2 billion. He has defeated some people, including some famous pirates, but these people are not enough for his bounty to reach this level. What really caused his bounty to increase dramatically was an incident half a year ago. Half a year ago, a strange rumor spread in the Grand Line. His blood was precious and he had extraordinary abilities. It can revive the dead, make flesh and bones, and cure all kinds of diseases. Why did the rumor appear and who originally came from it? None of this matters. No one will care at all. Too many people are going crazy over this. As long as a person is human, he will face life, old age, illness and death, and his blood is the treasure that countless people want to get. From that day on, the pursuit never stopped. Today, what stood in front of Levi was a heavyweight who stood at the top of the world. One of the 3 Marine Admirals, Kizaru, Perusalino. Advertisement. The intimidation brought by this admiral has made everyone in Area 13 feel insecure and only dare to look at it from a distance. Perusalino Admiral is here in person. This is the first time I have seen Admiral. Levi is probably going to fail this time. Facing Perusalino Admiral, no matter how strong he is, he will only lose. He killed the celestial dragons. The Admiral will definitely take action to capture him. It's a pity that he can reach this point after only 2 years at sea. If he is given a little more time, he may really have a chance to break the pattern of New World. At Shaki's bamboo bar, many people were crouching, looking into the distance through the crack in the door, and whispering about the two of them. Suddenly, stop talking, there's going to be a fight. Someone shouted. Levi looked at Perusalino with calm eyes. Aren't you going to take action yet? Oh, actually I really don't want to do it, Perusalino said with a smile. Have mercy on me? Levi raised his eyebrows. No, I think you are in danger and want to observe you more. Perusalino's smile did not change. Having said that, Perusalino's hands that were inserted into his trouser pockets had already been taken out, and they were hanging naturally on the sides of his trouser legs. You go on, I'm leaving. Levi turned and left. He didn't want to waste time with Perusalino. After 2 years, he was tired of the life of killing, and now all he wanted to do was travel around the world. Oh, it's really annoying. I really don't want to fight with you but I have to. Perusalino's frivolous laughter was so close that it almost sounded in Levi's ears. The dazzling golden light and the voice of the words reflected at the same time, illuminating the world and converging into a bright long sword. Logi a sparkling fruit Tien Kong Yun sword, boom. Perusalino appeared behind Levi, raised his sword and struck. The lightsaber tore through the sky, and the energy surged in all directions. Chang. Levi turned back in an instant, and the branch in his hand flew forward, causing brilliant sparks to burst out. Call. The wind was strong and Levi's hair was flying. Advertisement. The ordinary branches in his hands were already covered with golden arcs of electricity. Today's template. My wife Zenitsu, 10,000 times combat power. A crisp sound suddenly appeared in Levi's mind. It has been almost 2 years since he got the Wankai Kendo check-in system. The 10,000 Realms Kendo check-in system draws a swordsman template from 10,000 realms every day. After activating the template, Levi will gain all the abilities of the template. Moreover, after successfully checking in every day and refreshing the template, Levi's physical fitness will be permanently improved. Checked in 729 times, 729 physical fitness improvements. Levi's strength has undoubtedly reached a terrifying level. Today, Levi's swordsman template is, my wife Zenitsu, with 10,000 times more power. The controller of the breath of thunder in, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Call. Levi closed his eyes, inhaled gently, and exhaled hot white air filled with golden thunder. Shua. He opens his eyes. A golden arc of lightning flashed deep in his eyes. Breath of thunder 1 type. Dozens of meters of thunder beams rose from the ground, turning the sky into a bright golden color. Perusolino's eyes suddenly shrank, and Levi disappeared the moment the thunder exploded. Rumble. The thunder roared wildly, tearing the sky and the earth apart. A hot breath suddenly appeared behind Perusolino. Rear. Levi soared into the air, his whole body covered in golden thunder, and even his eyes turned a stunning golden color. The branch wrapped with thunder seemed to turn into a piercing thunder in Levi's hands. From top to bottom, cutting through the sky and the earth. To cut Perusolino in half. Chapter 2 In the dust, Levi is like a god. Golden thunder penetrates heaven and earth, go forward indomitably. With a strong and domineering attitude, tear Perusolino apart. Perusolino's eyes narrowed. Levi's sword was too fast, and the thunder reflected in his eyes was more dazzling than the magma in the night. This moment. No way. Everyone watching this scene widened their eyes and exclaimed in shock. An incredible picture appeared under everyone's gaze. Perusolino, Marines' 3rd Admiral, recognized as one of the strongest in the world. Facing Levi's sword, he failed to block it and was chopped into 2 pieces. Plop. Perusolino's 2 bodies fell to the ground, his hands and feet spread out in a large shape. Above him. Levi briefly stepped into the air, with golden thunder as thick as a small snake swimming around his body. The air around him trembled slightly, distorted by the high temperature brought by the thunder. Sunlight pours. The branch in Levi's hand glowed with jet-black luster. Armament hockey. 2 years after coming to this world, Levi has already mastered the weapon color. His eyes filled with lightning turned slightly and fell on Perusolino. Oh, it's so scary, you do have some strange means as rumored. Perusolino, who was broken into 2 parts, did not die, but instead opened his mouth strangely. He spoke timid words, but his expression was as calm as water. Even though Perusolino was cut in half by Levi's sword, but still didn't change much, lying on the ground leisurely. Looking carefully, there was not a drop of blood flowing out of his body cut in half by Levi. At the wound, the flesh and blood turned into flashes of light. Perusolino transformed into an element in time before Levi's slash fell and dodged the sword. Next moment, Perusolino's 2 bodies came together and he stood up again. His expression was as lazy and decadent as ever, but there was a hint of solemnity in the depths of his eyes under the sunglasses. Perusolino had heard the rumors about Levi. Advertisement. Can blood make human flesh and bones alive? To be honest, Perusolino didn't believe it. If such people really exist, what do the dead strong men of all eras count? But now, Perusolino really believes it, because, according to rumors, the reason why Levi has this physique is because he obtained a treasure. No one knows what this treasure is, but people say that this treasure gives Levi thousands of different abilities. Moreover, this treasure also made Levi immortal, and his blood could make human flesh and bones alive. Now, Perusolino has a deep understanding of Levi's ever-changing abilities. According to Marines records, Levi had never used the power of thunder before today. Levi, what treasure did you get? Is it the branch in your hand? Perusolino chuckled and spoke. Twigs? Levi raised his arms. The branches were illuminated by the sun, ordinary and ordinary. He shook his head and said, I just picked it up casually. Levi wasn't lying, it was just a branch he picked up from the roadside when he was awakening his system. However, ordinary branches have become extraordinary in Levi's hands. Another ability of the Wankai Kendo system, the thing in Levi's hand is given the meaning of sword. Oh yeah, that's right. Perusolino nodded, he didn't just trust Levi. Some people say that Levi's treasure is Uranus, one of the 3 major weapons, while others say it is the core of the devil fruit's mother tree. But in the files recorded by Marine, it is most likely that the branch is a treasure. Because Levi, the branch, has experienced countless battles but has never been damaged. This is something no ordinary tree branch can do. Perusolino did not think about it any further. The truth can only be revealed after defeating Levi. Boom. Perusolino transformed into a stream of light, flying like a golden meteor. The air exploded wherever it passed, and the roar was endless. This is absolute speed. He has developed sparkling fruit to the ultimate, even breaking through the sound barrier with ease. If Perusolino had a title, it might be, the fastest man in the world. Looking around, no one in the world dares to say that he can be faster than Perusolino. But among them, it does not include Levi, who is blessed with 10,000 times the breath of thunder. Advertisement. Boom. Levi's eyes sparkled with cold electricity, and the branches carried the force of thunder, slashing in all directions. Boom. The stream of light collided with the thunder, and the earth suddenly trembled. Centered on the place where the 2 collided, thousands of cracks opened on the ground. Dust is rising into the sky, and only 2 kinds of gold are colliding. This is the collision of 2 of the fastest people in the world today. Boom. The sky suddenly darkened, and the golden thunder broke through the dust, penetrating the heaven, earth and sky, becoming the only light at this moment. The edge of Area 13. An old man with silver hair and beard was walking on the street. He was carrying an empty wine bottle in one hand and scratching his scattered silver hair with the other hand. I lost again. I seem to be running out of money. The silver-haired old man took out a money bag, shook it a few times, looked at the poor Bailey inside, sighed and shook his head. Having said that, there was no look of disappointment on his face because of losing money, only the carefreeness of a gamer. If Marine were around now, there would probably be a capture battle. Because this old man is surprisingly Pluton Rayleigh, who is known as the Pirate King's right arm. Hey, why is there no one on the street today? Rayleigh blinked and looked at the deserted street, a little confused. At this moment, boom, thousands of meters away, a golden stream of light flew out. It smashed straight in the direction of Rayleigh, collapsing more than 10 houses before it could stop. The light dimmed, revealing a tall figure wearing a marine justice coat. Perusalino fell in the ruins, a little embarrassed. Rayleigh was stunned briefly. Is this Perusalino? He was beaten away. Rayleigh suddenly looked up. Distance, in the thick dust, Levi stands with sword in hand. Thunder-ridden, as bright as a god, Chapter 3 admirals appeared together. Boom. Where Levi stood, thunder soared into the sky, violent and raging, as if it was going to split a hole in the sky. After knocking Perusalino away, Levi didn't pause at all, and charged at Perusalino again with a domineering attitude. Oh, yeah, it's so scary. Perusalino stood up from the ruins and shook off these words. His body turned into flowing light again, this time. This Marine Admiral made a jaw-dropping move. He turned around and retreated. Levi ignored him and chased after him. The streamers of light and thunder flashed across the Sabaody archipelago in tandem. Even Marine Admiral was suppressed and beaten. Hey, it seems that losing money is not so painful anymore. Rayleigh scratched his head and looked at Levi and Perusalino walking away with a strange look on his face. At this time when he was sighing, thunder and streamer collided. Perusalino was caught up by Levi. The branches covered with dark armor were pulled down. The stream of light Perusalino transformed suddenly froze, flew out on the spot, and almost fell down from the air. Levi at the rear had no intention of stopping and slashed out with another sword. Perusalino barely managed to escape, looking embarrassed. This Marine Admiral was suppressed in terms of speed for the first time. Everyone in the bar was stunned when Shaki knocked on the bamboo pole. No way? Why'd I feel like Perusalino Admiral can't beat Levi? It seems like this. Now it's Levi who is chasing Perusalino. Everyone's eyes widened, and they were shocked and shocked at the same time. In the beginning, it was Perusalino who took the initiative to attack Levi. Now it's Levi taking the initiative to pursue him. This means that Marine Admiral Perusalino lost against Levi, the great pirate with a bounty of 2 billion. Marine Admiral Perusalino lost to Levi, laugh. Perusalino dodged Levi's slash, he also felt helpless. In fact, he had no intention of arresting Levi. He knew that Levi was difficult, and he was not someone who wanted to do troublesome things. But the key is that Perusalino has to come. Levi happened to be in the Sabaody archipelago when he was killing celestial dragons in the street. The celestial dragons are dead, and as Marine Admiral 3, he has to take action. At this moment, Perusalino felt a palpitating breath coming from behind. He turned back suddenly. Rear, advertisement Levi is fierce and pursuing with thunderous feet. The 10,000-fold increase in thunder breathing has gone beyond the scope of breathing methods and directly affects the weather. Thunderclouds piled up in the sky, and it became pitch black at some point. Boom. Suddenly, a bright lightning struck in the dark cloud. At the same time, golden thunder rushed up on Levi. The two collide. The dazzling light exploded instantly, making the dark world suddenly light up. The intense conflict between light and darkness obliterated everything around him. Between the world and the world, there is only the figure of Levi raising his sword and slashing out. Chang. No one saw clearly what happened. Between heaven and earth, there is only the sound of a sword. Quick, it's almost ultimate. Before today, no one's sword has ever been so fast. It was like a real thunder fell. Aha! Perusalino's pupils shrank suddenly. He wanted to dodge, but suddenly he discovered a terrible fact. His reaction speed can't even keep up with Levi's sword. This sword, there's no way to escape. Rumble, lightning and golden thunder intertwined to create an aura of destruction. Scorching airwaves slapped Perusalino in the face. He even saw Levi's eyes filled with thunder. There is no domineering and fierceness like its offensive. There is only a kind of leisure and calm. This kind of calmness surprised Perusalino. Jet black armament hockey covers Perusalino's body. He has to resist Levi's sword. The branches fell down. Call. There was no earth-shattering collision as imagined. Only a breeze blows. The marine coat behind Perusalino also fluttered in the wind. Levi's branch stopped half a meter in front of him. Shua. Perusalino reacted instantly and turned into a stream of light and retreated to a safe distance. Far away, Levi stepped on the thunder and was temporarily suspended in the air, with no intention of taking action again. Advertisement why? There was doubt in Perusalino's eyes. He didn't understand why Levi would stop at the last minute. But the next second, he got it. Levi stared into the distance. Behind Perusalino, there are two burly and tall figures, stepping on moonwalk and stepping into the air. Its speed is as fast as a warship charging at full power. The figure on the left has a resolute expression, with thick smoke billowing from his body. The air wherever he passes is evaporated by the high temperature, and a large amount of water vapor rises into the sky. The figure on the right has a leisurely look on his face. He didn't show much murderous intent and just came through the air. Levi looked away, saw the injuries on Perusolino's body, and said, "That's it. Finished." Levi put away the branches, turned and left. When the branch left his hand, the armament hockey faded away, and the meaning of the sword also disappeared and became ordinary again. Perusolino watched Levi leave, his expression flickered, with no intention of pursuing him. Almost at the same time, a voice with a strong and iron-blooded military temperament sounded. "Perusolino, are you going to let him leave like this?" The smoky figure fell from the sky, standing next to Perusolino. His expression was somewhat cold and dissatisfied. This man's red suit is straight, and his white marine justice coat is flying behind him. He is Akainu Sakazuki, one of the 3 Marine Admirals along with Perusolino. Chase. Perusolino glanced at Levi, who was walking away. He felt that if he really caught up, he might lose his life here. "Sakazuki, it's not that I don't want to chase, but I'm injured." Sakazuki originally wanted to say more, but after seeing the injuries on Perusolino's body, he ultimately did not speak. Perusolino's injuries were indeed unfit to continue fighting. 3 Admiral Aokiji Kuzan also spoke at this time. "How about that, Levi? Compared to Sakazuki, who is strong and fierce, Kuzan is more easygoing and calm." "Oh, Kuzan, this Levi can't be underestimated, otherwise big trouble will happen." Perusolino whispered. There was a strange light in his eyes under his sunglasses. "Is it?" Sakazuki frowned. The smoke on his body became thicker and thicker, and there was a burning sensation that was going to burn everything. "Continue to pursue Levi. Justice must not be jeopardized." Sakazuki turned his head and spoke coldly to the marine soldiers accompanying him. Advertisement Chapter 4 asked Perusolino to collect some interest. Sabaody Archipelago Coastal Zone. "Boss, let's have a pineapple bun." Levi stopped in front of a bakery, ready to solve his lunch problem. Faced with Marine's arrest, Levi didn't have much anxiety, but was very relaxed and content. Not to mention that this is not the first time he has experienced this kind of thing. The current situation alone posed no threat to him. Perusolino did not pursue him. Even if the other Marines find him, they won't be able to catch up. In terms of speed, Levi is even 1 point faster than Perusolino. "Okay." The shopkeeper poked his head out from the counter and gave Levi a bright smile. Why does it feel familiar?" The shopkeeper blinked. Vision wanders, falling behind Levi. "That's a wanted poster." A wanted poster posted on the wall with the same portrait as Levi. The shop owner's smile suddenly stiffened. On the wanted notice, there was a line of small words clearly written. "The Lonely Swordsman, Levi, Bounty, 1 billion Baileys." You can't go wrong. The man in front of me is Levi, who makes bounty hunters around the world helpless. "Boss, buy a pineapple bun." Levi looked at the suddenly stunned shop owner and said again. "Ah, okay, your pineapple bun." The shop owner suddenly jumped up and hurriedly handed the bread to Levi. He kept his head down during the whole process, not even daring to look at Levi, for fear that the big pirate in front of him would burst out and destroy his shop. "How much?" Levi took the pineapple bun and prepared to pay. No need." The shop owner shook his head like a sieve and his face turned pale with fright. How dare he ask Levi to give him money? This is a murderer that even the celestial dragons dare to kill. When Levi saw his boss's expression, he vaguely guessed something. This kind of scene, he was used to it. Advertisement. The bounty on his face alone can scare ordinary people. Even though he has never done anything evil, his identity as a pirate makes people fear him. "Then I'll give you the market price." Levi didn't say much, just threw down a few Baileys and turned around to leave. The midday sun is very hot. Shine on Levi, leaving behind a dark shadow. Alone, looking at Levi's retreating back. The shop owner breathed a sigh of relief, and the stone hanging in his heart was relieved. However, he still didn't dare to pick up the Bailey that Levi put on the counter. "Didn't you say that Perusolino Admiral was arresting Levi?" The shop owner felt chilly. Before Levi came, a friend in Area 13 told him the news. Levi was fighting Admiral just now. How could he still come to his store unscathed? Levi has gone far, eating hot pineapple buns. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. He didn't take what just happened to his heart. In the 2 years since he came to the pirate world, Levi has experienced too much. After finishing the last bite of the pineapple bun, Levi suddenly turned around. "Stop!" Behind him, a group of Marines chased after him. Levi shook his head and threw the empty plastic bag into the trash can. He turned around and walked into the alley. Shua. Transform into thunder and disappear in the blink of an eye. Damn, that's so fast. Behind him, a Marine with the rank of a school officer stopped suddenly and couldn't help but curse. Sakazuki asked them to investigate Levi, but, at Levi's speed, they can't even follow behind and eat ashes. Levi has gone through many twists and turns, stopped. Saw. The salty sea breeze blows in the face, and there are seagulls cawing in the distance. "Why are you here?" Advertisement. Levi blinked and walked around casually, but he didn't expect to arrive at the port. Suddenly, Levi's eyes turned and landed on the sea in the distance. A marine warship was moored, its flag fluttering in the wind and the sound of hunting. The pattern on it, Levi recognized it, it was the logo of Perusalino. This is Perusalino's warship, Pelusalino, it should be fine if I charge interest. Levi chuckled and strode towards the warship, on board the warship belonging to Perusalino. Sir Perusalino. Yes, I understand. Vice Admiral Patton, who is in charge of the warship, is answering the phone bug. The expression on his face changed several times, becoming more solemn. Chief Patton, was the operation to capture Levi successful? Beside him, a marine soldier hurriedly stepped forward to ask. Failed. Barton. Vice Admiral shook his head and sighed. This Levi's strength exceeded expectations. Commander Perusalino was at a disadvantage in the head-to-head confrontation. How can this be? As soon as these words came out, the Marines all exclaimed. In their hearts, the Perusalino Grand Prix is an insurmountable peak. Although this officer can be a bit lazy at certain times. But when he really helps, he will definitely let people know why he is a Marine Admiral. But now, when facing Levi, Commander Perusalino fell behind? Actually, this is not incomprehensible. It is rumored that Levi has obtained a treasure. It may even be Uranus among the 3 major weapons. The 3 major weapons cannot be stopped by human power. When Barton mentioned Levi, his expression was solemn and fearful. And this Levi can still walk around the world at will after such rumors spread. This is enough to show that he is powerful and no one can restrict him. Has he reached the level of 4 emperors? Marine was stunned and spoke almost subconsciously. Have no idea. Barton shook his head. Just as he was about to speak again, his eyes paused. He saw a figure. A figure came from a distance that was beyond his expectation. Enemy attack. All personnel on alert. Levi is here. Barton stood up suddenly and shouted in horror. Lend me this boat for a few days. Levi chuckled and jumped onto the deck. Chapter 5 Marine's Shame. Perusalino is about to break through the defense. Attention everyone. Barton. Vice Admiral shouted. Cold sweat was flowing on his face, and he subconsciously stepped back. This is not because he is timid, but because the pressure from Levi is too much. This is a great pirate who can't stand a chance against Perusalino Admiral. Levi glanced at him with a smile. Next moment, without any warning, Vice Admiral Barton, who was retreating, stopped. Gulu. Barton. Vice Admiral swallowed hard, his eyes turned stiffly. Look down. A branch was placed on his neck at some point. This is obviously just a branch, a blunt weapon at best. But Barton. Vice Admiral felt a sharpness from the branches. It's so sharp that it can cut off all objects in the world. Let everyone leave this warship. Levi held the branch and his dark eyes were calm. Barton. Vice Admiral was stunned. He didn't understand what Levi was going to do. But he quickly thought of a possibility. Levi plans to hijack this warship. Even if Vice Admiral Barton is not familiar with Levi, he still thinks that this possibility is very likely, and it is very consistent with the identity of a pirate. Barton. Vice Admiral's expression suddenly changed. This is a humiliation. The big pirate came to the warship and immediately drove Marine away and hijacked the warship. It's tantamount to trampling on Marine's justice. Faced with Barton. Vice Admiral's hesitation, Levi said nothing, he remained calm. It's just. The branch in his hand moved slightly. Laugh. A wisp of bright red blood flowed down. Sir Vice Admiral Patton. The Marines all screamed, fearing that Levi would kill Barton. Vice Admiral right here. They were too powerless. Faced with Levi who suddenly appeared and kidnapped Barton's Vice Admiral, it was impossible to resist and fight. I know. Barton. Vice Admiral felt the cold on his neck and finally nodded. Between dignity and life, he chooses the latter. After a while, all Marines on the warship belonging to Perusalino retreated. They stood at the port, staring blankly ahead. Advertisement. Seems a little lonely. Far away, the sun sets in the west, in the afterglow of the setting sun. The warship slowly sailed into the distance. All Marines fell silent. I just felt a burning pain on my face. Their warship was snatched away by Levi. Stolen by a pirate, and, during this whole process, they didn't even get to fight Levi. It's like giving up your own warship. Suddenly, Vice Admiral Barton shouted. His eyes were red, and the humiliation in his heart almost exploded. Just now, he saw it clearly. The flag with the mark of Perusalino was torn down by Levi. This is not the end. Levi, lying leisurely on the beach chair in Perusalino where Admiral always likes to lie. The Marines looked at each other. While humiliating, there is also a sense of helplessness. Facing such a powerful pirate, what can they do? Today's incident is bound to become big news. If it was just a warship that was robbed by Levi, it wouldn't be a big deal. Pirates had also robbed warships in the past. But the key now is, Marine, it's 0 damage, they gave up a warship to the pirates without fighting. This was the first time in history. This time, it's a big shame. Barton. Vice Admiral let out a long sigh, his face full of bitterness. Call Chief Perusalino and report what just happened. Already connected. On the side, a Marine walked up dejectedly holding a phone bug. Barton, What's going on? From the phone bug came the confused voice of Perusalino. After one day. Somewhere on the Grand Line. The sky here is blue and the sea and sky are the same color, which makes people feel relaxed and happy. A small marine warship sailed slowly on the blue sea, with white waves drawn from the streamlined stern. The gentle sea breeze gives people a sense of leisure and relaxation. Cuckoo. Suddenly, a seagull flew from a distance and dropped a newspaper between its wings. This feeling is really relaxing. Levi reached out his hand and caught the newspaper delivered by the seagull. Advertisement. I flipped through it casually, and the headline above was astonishingly. Levi kills celestial dragons in the street, lawless. Close double angle bracket. This is immediately followed by the second title. Marine Admiral Perusalino loses to Levi. Close double angle bracket. The lonely swordsman Levi. The bounty is increased to 2.5 billion Baileys. Close double angle bracket. Levi finished reading the newspaper. It did not publish the incident of hijacking a warship. Maybe no reporters witnessed it. It's also possible that Marine suppressed the matter. After all, this is not a very glorious thing for Marine. Looking at this newspaper, most of the pages are about myself. Not only did Levi not feel heavy, but he felt very relaxed, as if the person recorded on it was not him. It was rare that he could stop, read the newspaper, and relax for a short time like he did now. Since the rumors emerged half a year ago, Levi has not had a free day. The pursuit never stopped. Initially, he explained when facing the first bounty hunter who hunted him. He released his blood to prove that his blood did not have the rumored efficacy. Once, twice, 3 times. Every time someone comes to hunt him down, he has to bleed to prove it. By the end, Levi was fed up. He didn't want to explain, because it was a drop in the bucket. People who don't believe it still won't believe it, they just think Levi is using tricks to hide it. He chose the simplest and crudest method, war, defeat all pursuers, even, kill them directly. He will use the most cruel method to kill so that no one in the world dares to come. However, the opposite happened. Human greed will never be ended. Levi's counterattack will only make people more convinced of the authenticity of the rumors. There are more and more pursuers, so much so that as long as Levi stays in one place, the pursuers will swarm him. From that day on, Levi never had a free day again. Today, he finally had a brief moment of relaxation. The sea breeze blew in my face, and the white parasol swayed slightly. Levi stood up and stretched his body lazily. The sea breeze blew, and the marine coat behind him flew up with the wind, and it was dazzlingly white in the sun. At this moment, if Perusalino were here and saw this scene, he would probably break the defense directly. Levi. He put on Perusalino's suit and marine justice coat. What's even more outrageous is that he also wore Perusalino's sunglasses. A perfect replica of Perusalino. These were all spare clothes that Perusalino had placed on the warship in advance, and now they were all used by Levi. Chapter 6 Nuclear Bomb. Marine warship in the distance. Asking for flower evaluation votes. Perusalino's stuff is really useful. Levi walked to the coffee table and poured himself a cup of black tea. This was also made by Levi using the tea leaves stored in the warship by Perusalino. Take a sip of black tea. Levi's face was filled with a pleasant smile. Rare tranquility. Levi put down the teacup, looking more relaxed than ever. The reason why he hijacked the warship was not only to seek interest from Perusalino, but also to enjoy the tranquility. This is Marine's warship. No one should be able to imagine that he is on it, right? The bounty hunter thought that he had just fought with Marine, so he should hide away. Who would have thought that he would take the initiative to get under Marine's nose? This is black reverse thinking under the lamp. As for Marine, Levi felt that since they had just fought with him, they wouldn't come to surround him immediately. Just relax for a few days. Levi stopped smiling and became serious. Now, it's exactly 6 o'clock in the morning. System, clock in. Levi stood up and said, open black lens bracket ding. Check in successfully, hosts various physical qualities plus 0.5. A warm current flowed through Levi's body, and his strength and various numerical values increased again. 1 attribute point is equivalent to the basic standard of an adult man. In other words, Levi's current strength and speed are more than 300 times that of an average adult man. Wow, in front of Levi, a bronze wall appeared out of thin air. This is a bronze wall that only he can see. It is 100 meters long and 100 meters wide, square and square, with blurred edges, which seems to indicate that it is not the whole picture. It is covered with knife marks and sword shadows, giving off a simple sense of age and a grand and vast atmosphere, as if it has existed for countless years. There are currently 729 grids on the wall. In each grid, there is an illusory little sword. Sword of Victory Oath, Zanjetsu, Reverse Blade. Total, 729 handles. They represent the glory of their respective owners. Represents 729 glorious stories. It also means that from the day Levi got the system, 729 swordsman templates were activated. And with the 730th punch and successful, the bronze wall shook. Boom. The wall exploded, and the 730th grid appeared. Among them, placed is a long knife covered with cracks and filled with a faint orchid light. This is a magic sword forged by extraordinary casting methods. It's called, Thousand Blades of the Demon Sword. Today's template. Assassin Liuqi, 1000 times combat power. The shadow of the 1000 blades of the demonic sword flew out. Advertisement crash into Levi. Today's template has been activated. Liuqi. Levi's eyes narrowed slightly, he knew this swordsman. In that world, Liuqi had another identity, ranked first on the assassin list, the chief shadow assassin, unruly and powerful. Call. Levi opened his palms, and a swirling airflow suddenly appeared in his palms. Next, Levi raised his hand and the teacup on the table rose into the air and fell into his hand. The whole process is like being controlled by an invisible hand. This is controlling objects with chi, one of Liuqi's signature abilities. At the same time, Levi's eyes turned blood red, it's like a handful of blood blooming under the eyes. Levi's mind became calmer, he gave up distracting thoughts and concentrated on. This is also Liuqi's second ability. When Levi read the original work in his previous life, he didn't understand what this change was. Now after experiencing the power of Liuqi personally, Levi understood, this was a unique technique, at this moment. A beep sounded that was beyond Levi's expectation. Ding. It is detected that the host has completed checking in for 2 years, and the achievement function is turned on, close black lens bracket. System upgrade in progress. Open black lens bracket update successed, close black lens bracket. Achievement function. Host collects a certain number of swordsman templates and will receive additional rewards, close black lens bracket. It is detected that host has currently collected 730 swordsman templates, close black lens bracket. Reward. Hydrogen bomb, small, close black lens bracket, nuclear bomb? Levi was really surprised, he didn't expect that the system would actually give out this kind of prop. Although the technology tree of One Piece world is very strange, it even has such heaven-defying black technology as cola as fuel. But really speaking, weapons more destructive than nuclear bombs? Absolutely not. It can be said that the nuclear bomb in Levi's hand is the most powerful weapon in the world today. Levi thought, there is already an object in his hand. This is a device that often appears in animation. It was completely dark, with an antenna that looked like an ancient remote control, with an eye-catching red button in the center. Hydrogen bomb launcher. Press the red button and the small hydrogen bomb will explode at the designated location, close black lens bracket. Is it so convenient? Levi blinked. This was a system that simplified a series of complicated launch procedures for hydrogen bombs. Press to explode, simple and crude, carefully put away the small hydrogen bomb. Advertisement. To be honest, this kind of thing is too exaggerated. Levi knows the horror of it. The explosive destructive power of weapons that can overpower this world is secondary. Nuclear radiation is the real Shinigami. It is a technological power that is enough to destroy an ecosystem. Ding. The next achievement reward, 760 swordsman templates, close black lens bracket. A progress bar appeared in front of Levi, 730/760ths. This means that after 30 days, he will receive the achievement reward again. Levi looked at the progress bar with some expectation in his heart. At the same time, on the blue sea, a huge ship was galloping and sailing. In the sea breeze, the flag of the Urca Chamber of Commerce is fluttering in the wind. The morning light has just begun, and the soft sunshine should make people feel comfortable. However, no one on the merchant ship can experience this beauty now. What envelopes them is only the cruel darkness that threatens their lives. Hurry, faster! Everyone on the boat was screaming in fear, as if there were evil spirits chasing behind them. All this fear comes from the pirate ship that is being chased crazily behind the merchant ship. On the pirate ship, my dear son, catch up with them, kill them all, rob them all. The ferocious-looking little woman with heavy makeup jumped up and down greedily, shouting that she would immediately rush to the merchant ship and take possession of all the money. Yes, Mom. The burly pirate called his son responded. In the sunlight, his waxing moonbeard, similar to Whitebeard's, is extremely conspicuous. Following the burly pirate's response, the speed of the pirate ship explodes, and the distance is instantly shortened. Oops, we're catching up. Captain Norman on the merchant ship almost had his teeth broken when he saw this scene. We are still less than 10 nautical miles away from Alabasta. No way, we can't make it. Seeing that he was about to reach his goal, he was attacked by pirates at this most critical moment. And he's also a notoriously vicious pirate, Whitebeard too, Weevil. Captain Norman saw a report that Weevil cut off the arm of the former Marine Admiral Zephyr. Weevil is definitely a fierce and cruel pirate. As long as they are caught up, I'm afraid there won't be a single person left alive on the entire merchant ship. Captain Norman, ahead, there seems to be a marine warship. The first mate suddenly shouted, as if he was grasping the last straw, shouting at the top of his lungs. Captain Norman looked up quickly, far away on the sea. A marine warship is sailing SLO Chapter 7 use chi to control objects 1,000 times, asking for flower evaluation votes. It's really a marine warship. Captain Norman was so excited that he rushed to the helmsman, pushed the helmsman away, and drove the merchant ship by himself. Attention everyone, move towards the marine warship at full speed. The other side, on the marine warship, Levi, who was leisurely sipping black tea, suddenly raised his head. He saw the merchant ship approaching him. People on the merchant ship kept waving their arms and shouting loudly. But the distance was too far, and Levi couldn't hear what these people were shouting. Levi reached for the telescope on the table. Levi looked through the telescope, and although he still couldn't hear the words clearly, he could clearly see the expressions of everyone on the merchant ship. They are very anxious. It's like he has something important to say to Levi. Levi's eyes turned again. Look behind the merchant ship. A pirate ship is biting like a maned dog and is pursuing them like crazy. Are you asking me for help? Levi blinked, thinking of the marine warship at his feet. Although the flag of Perusalino was torn down by himself, the marine mark on the ship was not erased. Apparently, the merchant ship was being chased by Marine, and in desperation, he mistook Levi for the real Marine. Levi looks weird. Not only is he not a Marine, he is also a big pirate with a bounty of 2.5 billion. But, Levi thought of something and smiled. Marine Admiral, Levi is online. Urlka merchant ship. It's not moving. The marine warship is not approaching us. Didn't the Marines see us? Most people on the boat looked desperate, and their waving arms gradually stopped. Although the merchant ship was already moving at full speed, how could a merchant ship loaded with cargo be as fast as Weevil's pirate ship? Be prepared to fight hard. Captain Norman's face was ashen, and what he said, even he didn't believe it. Weevil has arrived, and the distance between the pirate ship and the merchant ship is less than 10 meters. With just one leap, Weevil had already landed on the merchant ship. Boom! The huge repulsive force acted on the deck, and the wooden deck exploded on the spot. Dust filled the air. The burly Weevil held a naginata in his hand and exuded a heart-shaking ferocious aura. All the crew members who were stared at by his gaze were trembling. Can it really be fought? Advertisement Captain Norman could not even see the hope of survival. Mom, there's Marine. Weevil suddenly noticed something. He raised his head and looked up at the sky. Marine? Ba Jin also looked up, and she saw a surprising scene. See, in the blue sky, a tall figure stood in the air. The sea breeze blew, and the marine coat behind him billowed like clouds. And the most striking thing is his eyes. It was bright red and dark, like a handful of blood spreading under the eyes. Even with sunglasses, it can't be covered. Ba Jin suddenly frowned. She vaguely felt that the marine in front of her looked familiar. But Ba Jin didn't think much about it. The familiar-looking marine was normal. It wasn't the first time that she and Weevil had dealt with marine. She glanced around. There is no more marine. How dare you come here alone? Ba Jin smiled strangely. Weevil's reputation had already been established. Marine dares to come alone now. You are simply looking for death. Son, chop him. Ba Jin gave the order without hesitation. All she wants now is to see the troublesome marine in front of her be hacked to death and monopolize the entire merchant ship's money. Yes, Mom. Weevil stepped down. The body bounces like a cannonball. Boom. The deck, which had already been stepped on by Weevil, exploded. The entire merchant ship tilted at this moment. The calm sea surface suddenly became rough, and silver waves 100 meters exploded. Weevil holds a naginata in his hand, cut through the hazy water waves. The sword is as heavy as a mountain. You listen to your mother too much. Levi chuckled lightly and clicked out of thin air with his finger. Buzz. The invisible energy, starting from Levi's fingertips, spreads out like a tide, covering the entire sky in an instant. This is controlling things with chi, one of the abilities of today's swordsman template assassin Liuqi. Weevil's movements suddenly stagnated, and his menacing slashes came to an abrupt halt. The dark armament hockey instantly enveloped his whole body. Advertisement The veins in my arms popped out, like a mad lion. To tear Levi's bonds directly? Some kind of ability to trap people? Demon fruit power? Stupid. My precious son is Whitebeard's son. He has the same strange power as his father. How could he be trapped by you? Ba Jin watched this scene, and she vaguely guessed that Levi had used some kind of restriction method. It doesn't matter. She believed that her son could easily crush this marine. Although, in the sky at this moment, Weevil still failed to break free and was even about to be suppressed. But Ba Jin still didn't feel anything, and was even more excited. This isn't the first time. When she met Marine, she and Weevil also did something to weaken the enemy and then fight back. Okay, my precious son, don't hold back anymore. Show your strength and tear him apart roughly. Ba Jin's eyes widened, his wrinkled old face squeezed together, his eyes full of excitement. Roar. Weevil roared like a wild beast, his limbs trembled violently, and his blood vessels bulged like little green snakes. However, he still couldn't break free. The invisible energy is motionless. Mom, I can't move. Weevil's eyes were bloodshot and he struggled to say these words. He wasn't acting at all, but was really used by Levi to control objects with air and be fixed in the air. Ahead, Levi just looked at Weevil like this, a pair of eyes, as red as blood. This is a phenomenon caused by the operation of assassin skills. It's an eerie sight. The blood-red eyes should have brought shocking murderous aura. But in Levi's eyes there is only indifference. It's like a lake of blood without any ripples. Quiet, yet chilling. Then, Levi raised his right hand. The branch was held in his hand, the meaning of sword is given again. Chang. The sound of the sword shook the sky, the branches crack. Into 1,000 fragments, mighty and mighty, cut it out with one sword. Covered the entire sky. Chapter 8. Cut off the knife with your fingers, asking for flower evaluation votes. Levi uses his energy to control objects, controlling thousands of pieces of debris like an arm. This is a shocking scene. 1,000 pieces of debris covered the sky. The sword intent enveloped the entire sea area. One sword turns into 1,000 swords. Kill at the same time. From a distance, it looks like the sky here is collapsing, pressing down on Weevil. Puff, Weevil simply couldn't resist this surging power. With a scream, he fell from the sky and crashed into the pirate ship. Boom. The huge impact almost overturned the pirate ship. Mummy, it hurts. Weevil struggled to stand up. His burly body was covered with dense bloody wounds, and his bones were clearly visible. What's even more frightening is that his left arm disappeared. Under Levi's sword, he was ground to pieces. Son. Ba Jin's old face wrinkled together, and cold sweat flowed. She never expected such a result. Under the morning light, Levi stood leisurely. His posture was not so straight, but he naturally shocked everyone. When a person is strong enough, even if he doesn't show his fierceness, it will also make people fear from the bottom of their hearts. That's right, Levi. This man cut off one of Weevil's arms with just one sword move from beginning to end. Who are you? Ba Jin was terrified. She thought of a lot of Marine characters. Marine alternate Admiral, T. Dolphin? Wrong. All the Marine candidate admirals are not as young as Levi. Levi chuckled, and an evil thought suddenly appeared in his mind. New Marine Admiral, Levi. As soon as these words came out. It's actually Admiral, no wonder he's so powerful. Captain Norman and others could not help but cheer. Yes. Such a powerful Marine can only be an Admiral. No one on the merchant ship doubted Levi's words and regarded him as the savior. On the other side, Ba Jin's expression froze. Advertisement. Levi. Ba Jin remembered. It's you? Ba Jin screamed at a high decibel level. This man wearing a marine coat is the big pirate with a bounty of 2.5 billion. The lone swordsman, Levi. Ba Jin remembered that this man had escaped many pursuits, and he had easily escaped from the 3 admirals a while ago. All of this demonstrates the power of Levi. Damn it, how could it be this monster? Ba Jin couldn't help but curse. She read the newspaper that recorded Levi. This man was too scary. But Ba Jin's eyes flickered. She thought about the rumors about Levi. Blood can be the living dead, flesh and bones. It is not an exaggeration to say that this kind of ability can lead to immortality. If I get Levi's blood, is it possible to be young again? Ba Jin's eyes burst out with unprecedented greed. Under the temptation of youth, all treasures must be put aside. My dear son, use all your strength, wound Levi and get his blood. Ba Jin took half a step back, lowered his voice and said to Weevil. With his blood, your injuries can be healed and your arms can grow back. Of course, the most important thing is that you can take this opportunity to be 18 again. Ba Jin's eyes are extremely hot. Yes, mommy. Weevil was already very angry at Levi, but when he heard this, he picked up his naginata and rushed to kill him. Boom. He stepped down, and blast-like airflow exploded on the soles of his feet. Armament Hockey's body was knocked out like a black meteor. On Weevil, there is an unprecedented surge of ferocious aura. Die. Weevil was as angry as a wild beast. He was completely mad. The dark naginata split the sky and struck Levi's head. Wherever the blade passed, the air exploded, forming a clear zone instantly. With one slash, a huge gust of wind was set off. Everyone on the merchant ship was forced to retreat by the strong wind, and some even fell directly to the ground. Facing the full blow of the big pirate, Levi has only one action. That's a slash with both fingers. Chang, the sound of metal clanging exploded in the sea. Everyone's eyes widened. His expression was horrified, as if he had seen a ghost in the daytime. Levi, advertisement with 2 fingers, he blocked Weevil's attack. No, to be precise, Levi's finger is still half an inch away from the blade of the naginata. However, this half inch, it's a natural mode. Ah. Weevil roared wildly, his arm muscles bulged, and his veins were about to explode. But even so, the blade still couldn't advance an inch. Half an inch, full of invisible energy. This is the use of chi to control objects with a 1,000-fold increase. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is an air fruit that does not exist in this world. This is impossible. Ba Jin is almost on the verge of breaking the shadow. Where can anyone do this? Stop Weevil's strongest blow with 2 fingers in the air. Monster, these 2 words appear in everyone's mind. Actually, even if I give you blood, your arm will never come back. Levi was very close to Weevil and said in a voice that only the other party could hear. Ah, let go of my knife. Weevil looked at Levi in horror, as if he didn't hear Levi's words at all. Good. Levi looked at Weevil for a few seconds, then nodded slightly. Next moment, Weevil suddenly felt an extremely bad feeling in his heart. See? Levi flexed his fingers and flicked, click. The naginata covering armament hockey exploded suddenly, metal fragments flying. Immediately afterwards, the invisible energy surges. Like the roaring and rolling of the vast sea, Weevil's body trembled. It was like being hit head-on by a high-speed warship. Vomiting blood at the mouth, he flew out on the spot. Boom! His burly body crashed into the sea. Instantly a huge wave of 100 meters was created. On the sea, scarlet blood fills the air. Weevil. I don't know whether I will live or die. Chapter 9. My name is White Dragon Admiral, asking for flower evaluation votes. Plop. The splashing waves rise and fall. The air is filled with thousands of tiny water droplets, giving the place a hazy feel. Levi stands high in the sky, shrouded in a thin mist. No unnecessary actions, there is no superfluous expression, but the strength and domineering are revealed as they are. Captain Norman was stunned, and a strong sense of unreality arose in his heart. Everything that happened before him seemed like a dream. As a Marine Admiral, it's natural for Levi to be powerful. But the problem is, Levi defeated Weevil so easily. With just a wave of his finger, Weevil was beaten until he didn't know whether he was alive or dead. Like a toy being played with in the palm of your hand. You know, Weevil is the ferocious pirate who cut off Zephyr's arm. Weevil's strength has definitely reached the Shichibukai level. Even though he doesn't have the status of Shichibukai yet, his reputation is as great as that of any other Shichibukai. Is this newly promoted admiral a little too powerful? Ah, suddenly, a high decibel scream interrupted Captain Norman's thoughts. But see you. Ba Jin covered his abdomen and stepped back one after another. Blood flowed from his fingers, and his expression was extremely painful. Just now, the Weevil naginata shattered and flew out metal fragments. It hit Ba Jin in the lower abdomen, just a shock. Just let her be seriously injured, damn, how could he be so powerful? Ba Jin's face turned pale. She didn't know whether it was due to excessive blood loss or fear, but her body was shaking, and she didn't even dare to look up at Levi in the sky. This man, what a monster, impossible to win. Ba Jin rolled and crawled to the cockpit. She wanted to escape from the sea. He didn't even pay attention to Weevil who fell into the sea. As a Marine, how can I let you pirates leave? Levi said with a sinister smile. He bent his index finger and made the finger snap motion again. The invisible energy gathers like a storm. Ba Jin almost lost his mind when he saw this scene. Levi is going to attack her. While this frightened her, she also felt extremely depressed and helpless. This Levi. Why is he still pretending to be Marine? You're not Marine at all. Ba Jin couldn't stand it anymore. She didn't understand at all. Why did Levi need to go to this extent to pretend to be Marine? But, boom! Advertisement. Just hearing a loud bang in her ears, her vision went dark and she lost consciousness. Invisible energy, like a mountain, pressed down with a bang. Boom! The pirate ship under Ba Jin's feet exploded to pieces, and sawdust and planks rose into the sky, splashing to the surrounding sea. Ba Jin, who was in the explosion, did not fall into the sea. Instead, he was restrained by the invisible energy and suspended in the air. Levi didn't even glance at her. His right hand became a claw. Head out towards the sea again. Moment. The wind is rising and the sky is changing. The sea surface rolled violently like a boil, and the waves surged up one after another, as if they were about to hit the sky and extinguish the sun. Rumble. Levi's palm is turned over. The flow of this sea area also changes. At this moment, Levi controls the entire sea with his invisible energy. The sea cracks, forming a giant Uzumaki among them. A tall and sturdy figure slowly rose, break through the sea and flowed in front of Levi. It's Weevil. He was still unconscious, with blood and water all over his body. Like a dead dog, Levi grabbed him out of the deep sea. Marines, close the team. Levi retracted his palm with a smile on his face and said amusingly to the non-existent, Marine subordinate, behind him. In front of him, the great pirates Weevil and Ba Jin. Subdue the law. Everyone was shocked by this scene and speechless. All this is too shocking. In order to find Weevil who sank to the bottom of the sea, Levi. Under their gaze, the sea turned upside down. This is beyond the scope of human power. It's more like a divine sign. I don't know how much time has passed. Captain Norman was the first to react. Thank you, Levi Admiral. This is a small thank you, please accept it. He hurriedly took out a money bag from his trouser pocket. Hearing the sound of the coins clinking, he knew that the weight was definitely sufficient. No, Marine Admiral cannot accept gifts. When Levi talks about being an admiral, he feels no sense of disobedience, and he even carries a sense of righteousness in his behavior. It's like he really is the Marine Admiral. This is my first time pretending to be a Marine Admiral. Advertisement. A smile appeared in Levi's heart, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. There is nothing wrong with doing interesting things occasionally as a spice to life. This, Captain Norman was shocked, and then he hurriedly put away his money bag and bent down to apologize to Levi. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have insulted your justice with this behavior. Captain Norman spoke very seriously and solemnly. He has heard rumors about admirals, and every admiral has his own justice in mind. Perhaps what I did violated the justice of this admiral. Captain Norman apologized but at the same time felt admiration. In his opinion, Levi is exactly the Marine Admiral he imagined. Extremely powerful and righteous. Let's say goodbye. I'll take these two pirates to prison. After Levi finished speaking, he restrained Weevil and the two with anger turned around and left. Etc. Captain Norman suddenly spoke, "What is your name?" He decided that after this time, he would spread Levi's reputation. Everyone must know Levi's name wherever the merchant ships pass by. Name? Levi stopped and fell silent. He never thought about it. I just wanted to pretend to be Admiral and enrich my life experience. As for the name. An idea flashed through Levi's mind. Name, just call me White Dragon. After saying that, Levi no longer stopped, walked through the air, and soon disappeared into the sky. Watching Levi's leaving back, the excitement in Captain Norman's heart could not subside for a long time. That's great. Fortunately we met the White Dragon Admiral, otherwise the goods would have been snatched away, and we might have lost our lives. The luckiest thing is that I met a strong man like White Dragon Admiral who makes people feel like a breath of fresh air. I heard that Sakazuki Admiral is very cruel and has the same attitude towards us civilians and pirates. Probably not, they are all Admiral. Suddenly, there was a discordant sound. By the way, why did that old pirate woman say that Levi Admiral is not Marine? Is Levi Admiral fake? A tall and thin crew member looked puzzled. He thought of what Ba Jin said about you not being a Marine at all. Bullshit, what are you thinking? The old pirate woman was knocked unconscious before she could finish her words. She must have wanted to say at that time, you are not Marine at all, you are the devil. Before Captain Norman could speak, the first mate next to him couldn't help but retorted. As soon as these words came out, many crew members nodded. It makes so much sense. That's for sure. By the way, a little further ahead is Penji Island. I remember it was a Marine branch. Let's go send some supplies and thank Marine, Captain Norman said. Good. No one disagrees. Just do it. Chapter 10 Perusalino, are you still in the mood for tea? Ballflower evaluation vote? Levi didn't know that Captain Norman planned to send supplies as a thank you. He has already brought Weevil and Ba Jin to his marine warship. Marine warships have rooms used to temporarily detain pirates. It's not an exaggeration to say it's a temporary prison. Levi already knew the warship well when he dug out Perusalino's clothes and food. He restrained Weevil and Ba Jin with his breath and walked straight to the temporary prison. Just stay here for now. Levi pointed a finger, and the two of them were thrown in and fell heavily to the ground. Weevil was still in a coma, as unresponsive as a dead dog. But Ba Jin got up with a grunt. She looked at the dark environment around her. I instantly understood where this place was, temporary prison. What are you locking us up for? Ba Jin's tone was trembling. Send it to Marine. Levi smiled. This smile is very sunny and full of righteousness. This smile makes Ba Jin terrified. She rushed to the iron railing, shook with all her strength, and shouted anxiously. Levi, let us go. You are not Marine. Even if he sends us there, Marine will not believe you, and he may even arrest you. Levi was silent. Spare us. We can become your companions. With Weevil's power, we can stop many people who covet your blood. Levi still didn't respond, just looking at Ba Jin. The calm gaze made Ba Jin feel a little frightened. Actually, Levi agreed with what Ba Jin said. He was just pretending to be Marine on a whim, but he wasn't really Marine, so there was no need to go through the thankless process of imprisoning them. Levi never thought about actually capturing them and giving them to Marine. As for companions, Levi's dark eyes were very deep. He does not need it. Someone once said the same thing as you, Levi said. Then what? Ba Jin was stunned. He wanted to kill me, but I killed him, Levi said. After he finished speaking, he turned around and left, leaving no chance for Ba Jin to speak again. Watching Levi gradually go away, Ba Jin was stunned. Has Levi ever been betrayed by a companion? Ba Jin was not sure. Advertisement, but she knew from the change in Levi's expression that Levi no longer trusted anyone. This moment, Ba Jin suddenly understood, why is Levi called the lone swordsman? Levi is destined to walk a lonely road. On this road, no one can truly trust it. Looking around, enemy to the whole world, Levi returned to the deck, sipping black tea and fishing. Relaxed and comfortable. The existence of rumors made him no longer easily believe in people's hearts. Greed exists in everyone. Levi doesn't want to test people's hearts. The easiest way is not to have any contact with others. As for the title lone swordsman, to be honest, Levi didn't feel alone. He is a born optimist. He likes living this way now. It's nice to travel freely and entertain yourself occasionally. As for Ba Jin and Wei Bu, let's just let them be locked up for now. Marineford. This is a place that symbolizes absolute justice, a forbidden place in the eyes of pirates, and a holy place in the eyes of civilians. On the island, a tall and majestic fortress stands. Here it is, Naval Headquarters. In the center of the fortress, the Marine Office building towers into the sky. All Marine Headquarters offices are located here. Among them are naturally, Marshal Marine, Sengoku. Sengoku Office. In the office at this moment. It can definitely be called a gathering of strong people. The entire Marine's high-level combat capabilities. More than half are here. Sengoku, Garp, Tsuru, Sakazuki, and Perusalino are all present. You haven't found Levi yet? I doubt your ability to do things. Sakazuki slammed the table, a look of anger appearing on his resolute face. This is Marine's disgrace, we must never let him go like this. In front of him, advertisement Marine's subordinates were trembling after being scolded, and they didn't even dare to raise their heads. Perusalino on the side turned a deaf ear and drank his own black tea, looking like a lazy middle-aged uncle. It seemed like none of this had anything to do with him. Perusalino, are you still in the mood for tea? Sakazuki snorted. The way you teach your subordinates is already wrong. Do they have Marine's justice in their hearts? He didn't even resist, and gave up the warship so easily. What's the difference between this and surrender? Perusalino raised his head and put the lid on the black tea. Oh, there is nothing we can do about it. Levi's strength is there. At that time, we mobilized most of our troops to pursue Levi, and only Barton was left on my ship. Vice Admiral, is it normal that you can't resist? Sakazuki wanted to say more. Garp crossed his legs and spoke. Barton Vice Admiral did the right thing. Fighting with Levi will cause more losses. Only by saving his life can he regain his position. Garp bared his teeth. Actually, we should be lucky that Levi didn't kill anyone, otherwise no one on this ship would have survived. Good. He nodded and agreed with Garp's words. At this moment. Bang, bang, there was a knock on the office door. Come in. Sengoku, who had never spoken, spoke up. Reporting to the Marshal, information came from the Penji Island branch, and a merchant ship from the Uralka Chamber of Commerce took the initiative to present supplies as a token of gratitude. The young Marine walked in, holding a report in his hand and straightening his back to report. Merchant ships give away supplies? As soon as these words came out, the expressions of several people present changed to varying degrees. This kind of routine information does not need to be reported. Not even qualified to be sent to Sengoku's office. But since this Marine is here, it means there is something hidden underneath. As expected, after reporting, Marine spoke again. According to the merchants, the reason why they want to thank Marine is because Levi, who calls himself the White Dragon Admiral, saved them from Edward Weevil. This moment, the entire Sengoku office. Silence. Wait, you said, Levi? Not Levi, Liwei? Garp smashed his mouth, and his facial expression was extremely exciting. Chapter 11 Garp. It would be great if Levi were Marine, please vote for flowers. Mr. Garp, this is Levi, the lone swordsman Levi. Marine lowered his head and recounted the specific details of the report again. This time, everyone present understood. Levi, he even went to pretend to be Marine Admiral. The most complicated thing is that a Rareka merchant Marine went to the branch to thank. Ha 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 ha. It's so interesting, there is such a thing. This Levi is beyond my expectations. Garp slapped his legs and laughed. Kakuzu burst into tears with laughter. He could even think of the awkward look on Marine's face when he was thanked. Call. Sakazuki took a long puff of cigar, sparks burned, scattering scattered ash. There must be a certain degree of justice for blasphemy, right? His eyes suddenly became fierce. Perhaps, in the eyes of others, Levi did a good deed, helped the Chamber of Commerce and defeated the pirates. But in the face of absolute justice that Sakazuki insists on. Levi, what a mistake. His impersonation of Marine as a pirate is frivolous and inherently wrong, wrong from the ground up. To do Marine's work as a pirate is to take action when encountering obstacles, which is to add mistakes to mistakes. Garp, you're still smiling. Sengoku glanced at Garp, who was still laughing, and rolled his eyes with a headache. This incident is not good for Marine's reputation. I suppressed Levi's hijacking of the warship. I'm afraid this incident will be exposed again. Sengoku rubbed his eyebrows and continued. What worries me the most is, does Levi have any other unknown purpose in hijacking the warship? Thinking in mind. For Levi. Sengoku couldn't even describe how angry he was with Levi. Just, dumbfounded. I really don't know how to describe Levi. The good ones are not complete, and the bad ones are not complete either. The crane on the side also shook his head. She also found this a bit frustrating. Blame? No, Levi is doing good things after all. Praise? Not right either. Hijacking a warship is not something a good person should do. Contradiction. But it perfectly reflects the indulgence of the game world. This is Crane's overall evaluation of Levi for doing this. According to Levi's character, it's very likely that he doesn't have so many hidden purposes, he said. She knew Levi's character. From Crane's perspective, Levi was a relaxed person. A person who occasionally likes to play dirty tricks and entertain himself. Robbing a warship and pretending to be a Marine along the way actually fits Levi's weird style. He continued his analysis, but this matter is indeed a bit troublesome for us. Let's block the news as much as possible. It is better not to expose the news of Levi's hijacking of the warship. Sakazuki didn't finish hearing what Tsuru said. In the middle of speaking, he had already stood up and left. Analyzing Levi and the aftermath is what Sengoku and Tsuru, the resourceful general, should consider. What Sakazuki has to do is to chase Levi. From the report just now, we already know the approximate location of Levi. As for what other people think of Levi, Sakazuki doesn't care. Advertisement at his level, the justice that we hold fast to in our hearts. Already unshakable, Sakazuki walked out the door. Garp mused, if it's really White Dragon, that would be great. This is definitely a benefit for us Marine, right? Garp chuckled and sighed with emotion. Garp has heard a series of things about Levi. It's really rare to be in the center of the storm but always stick to your bottom line. Oh, if that's really the case, that would be great. Perusalino's expression changed. He had fought against Levi and had a deep understanding of the opponent's strength. If Levi really is Marine, that will definitely be a big help. It makes sense to give him an admiral position. Sengoku's eyes flickered when he heard what the two said, and he fell into deep thought. After a moment, he shook his head imperceptibly. The idea is good. Unfortunately, this is an impossible idea, at this moment. Garp spoke again. Right. Sengoku, go and recruit Levi. As he spoke, Garp picked up the senbei on Sengoku's table with ease and poured most of it into his mouth. Sengoku looked at Garp's skillful movements, the corners of his eyes twitched slightly, and he couldn't help but sigh, and Kaido said. This is impossible, don't think about it, even if we are willing, Levi won't be willing. Crane knows Levi's character, and Sengoku also has a certain understanding. Just like his name. The lone swordsman. Levi's existence is destined to have no friends. Maybe in the future there will be companions who don't covet his blood and can be trusted by him. Get Levi to trust Marine? This is impossible. Marine has many eyes, and it is precisely because Sengoku holds the position of marshal that he understands this truth better. Everyone has greed, doesn't Marine have it? Taking a step back, even if Marine as a whole trusts Levi and doesn't take action against Levi, Levi also trusts Marine. That, the Celestial Dragons would never agree, you know, just a day ago. Levi killed the Celestial Dragons in the street. This incident almost caused the Holy Land Mariejois to be overthrown. The Celestial Dragons were so angry that they wanted to crush Levi to ashes. Pity. Crane shook his head, she also thought of this. 3 days later, on the blue sea, Levi is accompanied by the blue sky and white clouds. The days are free and happy, system, clock in. Levi faced the rising morning light, shout out this sentence at 6 o'clock in the morning. Open black lens bracket ding. Check in successfully, hosts various physical qualities plus 0.5. Wow, advertisement in front of Levi, the magnificent bronze wall appeared again. The feeling of killing came to my face, the 733rd grid exploded. The shadow of a long knife with a broken edge, as if it had been smashed by a blunt object, flew out of the small grid. On this sword, there is an extremely strong pressure. It's like a mountain is flying across the sky, in silence. The shadow of the sword merges into Levi's body. Today's template, Zaraki Kenpachi, unopened version. Zaraki Kenpachi, captain of Godei 13 Squadron 11 in Shinigami. He is so powerful that in order to better experience the fun of fighting, he will even deliberately wear an eye patch to suppress his Ryotsu on weekdays. The so-called unblocked means that Kenpachi has not yet taken off his blindfold. Levi lowered his head, feel the power flowing freely in your body. Zaraki Kenpachi, fight till death. This force, perfectly showing off Zaraki Kenpachi's bellicosity and rage. Just flowing in the body, let Levi have fighting spirit and stimulate his nerves. Call. Levi stretched out his right hand, a faint golden light is flowing. It gives people a sense of wanton madness, a violence that seems to be devastating. This is the fundamental factor that determines a person's strength in the Shinigami system, Ryotsu. However, in the face of such a violent force, Levi's dark eyes remained calm. He has experienced too many swordsman templates, 733 days. 733 times. Levi is no longer affected by anything, and his heart is like Shisui. To him, the template activated that day was his own power. Driven like an arm, these days, Levi also understood a truth. The template activated by the system's daily check-in is actually to allow yourself to understand the sword path walked by a legendary swordsman in one day. Over time, Levi put aside the experiences of these legendary swordsmen. He will read thousands of ways and find a truly invincible path. Concentrate your thoughts, did I forget something? Levi suddenly raised his eyebrows, he remembered. In the past 3 days, I seem to have forgotten to give food to Weevil and Miss Bajan. These two people, I don't know if I will starve to death. And just as Levi was carrying lunch, the moment I just walked to the door of the cabin prison. Rumble. On the marine warship, there was a sudden loud bang. Even the hull of the ship tilted at this moment. Chapter 12. Someone is running in the sky, asking for flower evaluation votes. Boom. The hull tilted and rocked violently. Levi even smelled a faint smell of gunpowder in the cabin. There was a commotion in the temporary prison at the same time. Mom, someone is having S*X. My dear son, you are Whitebeard's son, put your snot away. Not dead yet. Levi looked at Weevil in surprise, who was rubbing his nose on Bajin. Weevil was seriously injured by himself, not eating or drinking for 3 days. He's not dead yet, and it looks like the injuries are starting to heal. Idiot mother's life is so hard. Boom. There was another loud noise, The hull shook again, and Levi felt the sinking trend. Someone is shelling the warship. Levi was a little surprised and frowned slightly. He raised his eyes, through the window, look into the distance. Actually, anyone dares to attack a warship? The ship is sinking. Levi, please unshackle us. Behind them, Weevil and Bajin shouted in panic, fearing that they would sink into the sea together with the boat. Levi didn't bother to pay attention to them. Leave the lunch you brought at the door of the temporary prison. Slowly walked to the deck. Boom! There was another fierce bombardment. The cabin behind Levi exploded into a big hole. Seawater pours in. Levi didn't care. His pace is still very slow. As for why, this isn't Levi's ship. This boat is no longer useful. It looks like we need to replace it. Levi whispered to himself. Minutes ago, not far from the Levi warship. A pirate ship that looks like a mammoth is galloping on the sea. In the sea breeze, the flag of the beast's pirates is ringing. The crew members on the pirate ship howled wildly, like wild beasts out of their cages. Suddenly, there's a warship ahead. The watchman standing high up shouted. How about? Let's go around. One of the pirates was a little frightened, his eyes flickering. Advertisement as a pirate, he is instinctively afraid of Marine. Ask Boss Jack. Sipshead, who had his legs crossed and looked like a goat, stood up and prepared to walk into the cabin. As one of the officers on Jack's ship, he did not make decisions on his own. At this moment, Jin Lamy, who had long pink hair and a hot figure, came out of the cabin. Boss Jack said, hit him, this is Jack's order. Revealing a strong sense of confidence, bumped into it? The pirates looked at each other and saw confusion and astonishment in each other's eyes. As the big sign of Beast's pirates and one of the 3 major disasters, Jack the Drow, just issued the order, directly hit the distant warship head-on. Get ready for a big fight. When Sipshead heard this, a cruel smile appeared on his face. Don't forget, we have Boss Jack in charge. As soon as these words came out, the pirates paused again, and then an extremely morbid excitement appeared on their faces. Yes, no need to detour at all. They are the crew of Beast's pirates, one of the 4 emperors. Boss Jack is here. A marine warship is nothing to be afraid of. Kill! All the pirates roared excitedly. The guns are fully open. The artillery is loaded. Boom! The pitch-black shells trailed long tails of flames in the air, accurately hitting the warships in the distance. The warship has been hit. The lookout shouted excitedly, his eyes filled with bloodthirsty light. They just want to destroy this warship, Marine? Boss Jack is here. Why be afraid? Boom! Hit again. The warship is already on fire. Boom! The warship's hull is damaged and it's going to sink. The news of success came one after another, stimulating the pirates' nerves and making them even crazier. Ha 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 ha, they didn't know how to fight back after being hit by artillery. Are these Marines so scared? Sipshead shouted wildly. They must have recognized Boss Jack's boat. They should know that there is no chance of winning against Boss Jack. Instead of resisting and being killed, it is better to be beaten like a turtle and fall into the water and maybe survive a few more years. As soon as these words came out, it immediately caused a series of arrogant laughter. The lookout, who was the first to observe the warship with a telescope, had a strange expression at this moment. On board. Advertisement, there seems to be no sign of Marine. The lookout hand is a little uncertain. They were too far apart and could only vaguely see the situation on the warship. Maybe I saw it wrong? And at this time, the watchman's eyes suddenly widened. In his sight, a figure appeared, together, the figure walking in the sky. There is someone in the sky. There seems to be a Marine running towards us in the sky. At the same time, several lookouts exclaimed at the same time. There is someone in the sky? Is it some kind of bird? Jin Lamy squinted her sexy eyes. She saw a small black dot in the sky. She picked up the telescope suspiciously and looked up. This look. Jin Lamy was stunned. In the sky, there was really a figure walking towards them step by step. He has a tall and straight figure, and his black hair is scattered in the wind. Every step you take, there will be faint golden ripples in the sky. There is an understatement of calmness in every gesture. But it also gives people a sense of oppression, like a ray of light on their backs. Just a glance, it makes people feel great pressure. Report to Boss Jack that a Marine is coming towards us. There was a hint of murderous intent in Jin Lamy's words. She instinctively felt the danger and wanted to get rid of the opponent as soon as possible. In this world, there are people who can walk in the sky. Rare, it can even be said that there are only a handful of them. This already shows how powerful the opponent is. Jin Lamy's words just finished. Boom! A dull, short sound resounded on the deck. In the sky, the walking figure fell down. Just standing on the deck naturally shocked everyone. He is like a rock in the turbulent currents, unshakable. Behind, Marine's coat billows, dazzlingly white. The most surprising thing is, in his hands, and carrying a suitcase. Levi, here we are, Chapter 13. Suppressed with one sword, Mammoth. Asking for flower evaluation votes. Hulala. The seawater rolled and collided with the edge of the hull. The hull rocked slightly, every pirate's whole body muscles are tense. Staring at Levi intently, the whole ship is on alert. Marine, this is the ship of the Beast Pirates. How dare you come here alone? Even Admiral wouldn't dare to be so bold when facing Boss Jack. You have to choose a good place to die. Sipshead said sadly, staring at Levi. His body is transforming into a sheep, his hair is growing, and his arms are changing into horns. If you retreat now, maybe Boss Jack can spare your life, Jin Lamy said with some caution. Her body is also transforming into a springbok, with slender limbs and full of strength. Artificial devil fruit sheep form, artificial devil fruit springbok form. Both grantors activated their fruit abilities at this time. I don't want to come either, but my boat was sunk by you and I have to borrow something from you. Levi shook his head. Against Jack? He really has no interest. Borrow things? Jin Lamy frowned, and she was about to speak. You. Hold'em, who was wearing a lion belt, suddenly spoke. He had been looking at Levi's face. I always feel that the man in front of me is somewhat familiar. I seem to have seen it somewhere. The next second, Hold'em quickly turned his head and looked at a newspaper placed on the wine table not far away. Call. A gust of wind blows, lifting up a corner of the newspaper. On it, I vaguely saw a face. This face, exactly the same as the Marine in front of me. It's you. The lone swordsman, Levi. Horror and solemnity flashed across Hold'em's eyes. Is it him? Why did he get involved with Marine and put on Marine's clothes? Damn it. Is it Levi? Did I hear you right? It's the Levi who easily escaped from the hands of the 3 admirals. How can a being who is lawless and dares to kill even celestial dragons be related to Marine? As soon as the word Levi comes out, the entire pirate ship was shaken. The murderous intent of the pirates stagnated. The first thing they thought of was not the rumors about Levi, but his strength. Regardless of why Levi wears a Marine uniform, he's the real deal. He is a top powerhouse who can compete with Admiral. Although Sipshead said that Boss Jack could rival Admiral. But this is just Sipshead's personal admiration for Jack. After all, Jack hasn't played against Admiral yet. And it is a fact that Levi easily escaped from the hands of the 3 admirals. There are even rumors that Perusalino is no match for Levi. Has the news reached Boss Jack? Sipshead lowered his voice and said to Jin Lamy beside him. His clothes were already wet with cold sweat. Advertisement. It's because of nervousness. Just this glorious record is enough to show Levi's strength. This is invisible oppression. Past it. Jin Lamy's face was equally ugly, as soon as she finished speaking. A calm and majestic rough voice sounded. Are you Levi? In the cabin, there was a vaguely tall and burly figure, striding forward. His mouth is equipped with a metal jaw, revealing a sense of arrogance unique to great pirates. He wears 2 ivory-like decorations on his head and shoulders, with spiked rivets, and wears a feather-like coat. Boss Jack, one of the pirates exclaimed, looking up at this tall figure. Everyone feels that they have found the backbone. The big sign of Beast's pirates, one of the 3 major disasters, Jack the Drow. This series of prefixes can show how powerful Jack is. I heard that your blood has the ability to revive the flesh and bones of the dead, but I don't know whether it's true or not. Jack paused for a moment, then smiled. It just so happens that we can know the truth today. The smile is so creepy that the hair on your head stands on end. This is a smile full of murderous intent. Boom. Jack had no intention of observing Levi, and once he struck, it was a life and death fight. His legs were slightly bent. Mopei's power burst out from his muscles. Just a squatting movement caused the air to explode, and a series of dull and short sonic booms sounded. Boom. Full body armament hockey coverage. Jack crashed out like a black mountain. The huge mammoth couldn't stop sinking and shaking under the force of a single step, exploding into sky-high silver waves. A terrifying force that is enough to propel a large warship. Released without reservation by Jack. Laugh, the sword is bright. Cutting air. Tear open a vacuum zone. Take Levi's head. Jack wants to bleed Levi to prove the truth of the rumors. Actually, Levi suddenly looked up. There was a smile flowing from the corner of his mouth. I also want to see if ivory accounts for 900 million of your 1 billion bounty. Levi's eyes were dark, but at this moment, it reflected a faint golden light. How dare you speak provocatively? Master Jack, please show him some color. Captain Jack is invincible. Beside, advertisement. It was the pirate's cheering cry. Levi, holding branches. A sword was struck. Boom, the golden sword light is overwhelming. Covered the sun and moon, overturned the sea. Ah. Jack, who was charging forward, suddenly screamed. He can't move. Blood is oozing out from the pores all over his body. It was like there was something heavy weighing on him. He must be crushed to death. Sword pressure. Levi gathered the vast Ryotsu into one sword. Cut it out. This is the most brutal way. There is no such brilliant swordsmanship. Just use the most powerful force. Suppress Jack alive. Levi. The bones all over Jack's body were creaking. Blood was pouring out of his mouth, and his expression was as ferocious as a roaring evil spirit crawling out of hell. His waist is bending. My legs are shaking, uncontrollably. I knelt on the ground. Jack is going crazy. A second ago, he was attacking Levi, trying to steal his blood. The next second, kneel on the ground. No dignity. 5 body cast. His cheeks were pressed against the deck. Everyone was shocked and felt nothing but disbelief at the scene. Boss Jack was defeated like this, however, no matter how shocked I was. But no one exclaimed. Golden light spreads like a tide. Ah! Screams kept coming. At this moment, all the pirates on the Mammoth. No one can raise his head, they all knelt on the ground. It's as if he is kowtowing to Levi and expressing his surrender. With one sword, the whole ship was suppressed. Chapter 14 Levi ate Jack? Asking for flower evaluation votes? This is an extremely ridiculous scene. On the deck of the Mammoth. Only one person stands. That's Levi. There was no fierce battle as imagined. From beginning to end, Levi just waved the branch in his hand gently. It's such an understatement, but he brutally suppressed the entire Mammoth. No one can raise their head in front of Levi. What method are you using? Jack raised his head with difficulty, looked at Levi standing in the center of the stand, and asked in a hoarse voice. Now, the huge Ryotsu brought the town of Jack to the ground. The eyes were blood red and bloodshot, as if they were about to burst out of their sockets at any time. It's just suppression by force. Levi smiled, he walked towards Jack. The steps were slow, but they seemed to step on Jack's heart. It makes people shudder. Levi's expression, it was so peaceful. So calm that no one can guess what he will do next. Suppression by pure power? Jack spat out a mouthful of blood and repeated these words in a confused voice. Next moment, a bright light suddenly burst out in his eyes. Competing with strength, I won't lose, rumble. The muscles and bones in his whole body were roaring, long black hair grew out of his pores, and his whole person had undergone earth-shaking changes. You are no longer alone here, but a ferocious beast. Mammoth. Elephant fruit ancient species mammoth form. Ouch. A roar indistinguishable from that of a ferocious beast erupted from Jack's throat. His limbs, as thick as a tree, struggled, get up from the ground. However, useless. Boom, Ryotsu fell again. Jack gets down on all fours. The knee joint smashed into the deck, leaving 4 deep pits. This scene makes Jack's words just now seem so pale and feeble. Smoke and dust filled the air. Among this, the whole body is covered with light golden Ryotsu's Levi. Walked up to Jack. Puff. Jack was vomiting blood and could no longer speak. What on earth do you want to do? Jin Lami gritted his silver teeth and almost growled out these words. She witnessed with her own eyes the defeat of Boss Jack, who was regarded as an insurmountable mountain in her heart. Defeated. Complete defeat. This is the strong man who can compete with Admiral. The lone swordsman, Levi. Jin Lami stared at Levi, as if he wanted to remember this name and this face deep in his soul. I'll lend you something. Advertisement. Levi glanced at Jin Lami, who was lying on the ground, with a faint smile on his face. Jin Lami suddenly felt that his heart was about to stop. As a pirate, she subconsciously thought of Levi's next sentence. Lend you. Use your head. This kind of talk is a common provocation method used by pirates. Levi wants to kill them. While thinking, Levi has walked to Jack's side. Jin Lami trembled and closed his eyes. She no longer dared to look at the next scene. Gotcha. Just hear a crisp sound. Then came Levi's surprised voice. It's quite sweet. Kim Rummy. She felt like her heart was going to explode. This crisp clicking sound, coupled with the sentence, it's quite sweet. Could it be that Levi ate Jack? Jin Lami had a strong feeling of nausea. She even wanted to scream. This kind of reaction should not exist among the pirates in the Four Emperors pirate group. But under the fear of being physically suppressed, Jin Lami's mental condition also deteriorated to the extreme. Close your eyes maybe only for a few seconds, but Jin Lami felt like he was going to be tortured and went crazy. She couldn't bear it anymore, might as well die. Right, just die like this, kill me, kill me. Jin Lami opened his eyes suddenly and yelled at Levi crazily. Ken. Halfway through the words, Jin Lami paused. The madness on his face solidified. I saw Levi holding a half-bitten apple in his hand and looking at the golden rice in surprise. This kind of look, it's like watching a psychopath. Jin Lami's expression also stiffened, turned out to be. The clicking sound is quite sweet. Is it Levi eating an apple? And he took it from the fruit plate on the table next to him. Jin Lami didn't know what to say for a moment, because Levi already has a second move. He stood up, kicked Jack. Boom. Jack's huge mammoth body was kicked high into the air, fell directly out of the pirate ship and fell into the sea. This is not the end. Bang, bang, bang. Levi unfolds with dazzling speed. At this moment dozens of Levi's phantoms appeared on the deck. They all have only one action. Kick, advertisement. One by one, the pirates were kicked into the air, falling into the sea like dumplings. These figures also include the two cadres Sipshead and Hold'em. Jin Lami had no time to think. Levi ducked in front of her. There is no pity or pity. Kick it out. Boom. Jin Rami flew high into the sky and screamed in terror. She has demon fruit power. If she falls into the sea, she will become powerless and may even drown. But at this moment, most of Jin Lami's screams came from his instinct to fear the seawater. Her real mood is free. Finally, I no longer have to face Levi. Clear all the pirates on the Mammoth. Levi threw the remaining apple core into the trash can. Hokkaido is where he is. Lift the suitcase. Inside, there are all Perusolino's clothes. Take these clothes and go. Not really to discuss Perusolino. Levi simply thought the fabric was good and comfortable to wear, so he brought it over from the warship. Enter the cab. Levi is well versed in steering the wheel. Set off the boat. Levi sailed away. The pirate he threw into the sea was furious. "A-hole, give us the boat back. When have we ever experienced this kind of humiliation? We must tell Master Kaido and ask him to get back the situation for us." There is a lot of noise on the sea. The pirates stared with blood-red eyes. Although he said threatening words, but there was strong fear in his eyes. I am afraid, when they face Levi one day in the future, they will no longer be able to muster the courage to fight against him. The fear Levi brought to them was deeply imprinted in everyone's hearts. At this moment, someone shouted, "Come and help me, Captain Jack seems to have fainted. There's a trench down here, hurry up and save Jack, he's really going to sink." Oh my god, I saw a sea monster swimming towards us. In an instant, the sea became noisy and turned into a mess. Jinrami touched the seawater, devil fruit side effects. Pain coming from the abdomen, making her eyelids heavier and heavier. In blurry vision, she watched Levi pilot the Mammoth. Driving farther and farther. At this moment, Jin Lamy had an idea in his mind. Levi said he needed to borrow something. Do you want to borrow a pirate ship? He and his team sank Levi's warship. It seems reasonable for Levi to borrow the Mammoth. This was Jin Lamy's last thought before he fainted. Chapter 15. Did I forget something? Asking for flower evaluation votes? The sea surface is a mess, and all the pirates under Jack are in dire straits. Kilometers away, the Quirk pirates have a clear view of all this. Gulu. Captain Quaker's arm holding the telescope trembled slightly, and he couldn't help but swallow. Damn, I must be blind. Captain Quick put down the telescope and was stunned. He couldn't recover for a while. It took him several deep breaths to calm down. Captain, what happened on the distant screen? The tall and thin bald pirate couldn't help but ask. Captain Quaker took several deep breaths to suppress the trembling in his heart, and said with difficulty. Jack the Drow, a boatload of people, was swept away by a marine. These words were like thunder exploding in everyone's ears. What? All the pirates' eyes widened and their mouths opened subconsciously. Did they encounter the Marine Admiral? Or did the Marine hero Garp take action? The bald pirate was the first to react and asked hurriedly. Captain Quaker was silent for a moment and said with a strange expression. It's not that person, it seems to be Levi. Before everyone can react to the word Levi. Someone on the boat shouted anxiously, "The captain is in trouble." Jack's Mammoth suddenly changed course and headed towards us. Hear this, quick, quick, right rudder, get off course. Captain Quaker was so frightened that he immediately began to command. At the same time, aboard the Mammoth, Levi was already familiar with the facilities on the ship. At this moment, I am lying leisurely on the deck. There are no seats, just lying on the ground like this. Don't even have an experience. Levi stretched out his hand. Pick up a pear from the nearby fruit bowl, Kacha. The sweet juice splashes on the tip of the tongue. A satisfied smile spread across Levi's face. I have to say that there are really a lot of supplies on Jack's ship, more than a warship. The key is that there are many types. Up to the fruit, down to the can, even frozen beasts could fill a warehouse. If there was only Levi, enough to live on for a whole month. I didn't borrow this boat in vain. Levi opened another bottle of red wine and tasted it carefully. Feel the unique mellowness of red wine. Levi felt a sense of satisfaction. Advertisement: all supplies belong to him alone. Have a sip of red wine. Levi suddenly looked towards the sea. Not far away, I saw a pirate ship deviating from its original course in a panic and heading in another direction. This is hiding from yourself. Very good, this was the reaction Levi wanted to see. One of the four emperors, the three major cadres of the beast's pirates, Jack's Mammoth is indeed a deterrent. This effect is the same as that of a warship, maybe even higher. Because on the long road, it's not just pirates who avoid it. Merchant ships will also circle far away. Previously, Levi helped the Urca Chamber of Commerce. But in reality it was just a spur-of-the-moment attempt to impersonate Marine. Now that the energy has passed, if another merchant ship came calling for help, Levi would most likely not take action. At this point, the characters of Levi and Perusolino are actually somewhat similar. They are all afraid of trouble. Did I forget something? Levi suddenly stood up and put down the red wine, feeling a strange doubt in his heart. But he didn't care. He got up and walked into the kitchen, took out the steak prepared by the chef and started eating. Halfway through eating, Levi patted his forehead. He noticed something and looked into the distance. I forgot about those two guys. The other side. The location where the warship sank. The sea is rolling and the waves are magnificent. The wreckage of the warship was so sinking that not even a shadow could be seen. Wrong. There are several broken wooden boards floating on the sea, proving that there were once warships here. And on one of the small wooden boards, the two figures struggled hard. From time to time, a huge wave hits, and a few mouthfuls of seawater are choked in. These two people, it was Weevil and Ba Jin, it's considered safe. Ba Jin was still frightened, and there was still fear in his eyes. They almost got caught in the sinking ship and died on the bottom of the sea. Fortunately, Weevil broke the cage at the last moment and survived. But, Ba Jin can't bear the slightest bit of hatred towards Levi, the culprit. She said to Levi, "There is only fear, never provoke this monster again, let others have a headache." Ba Jin took a long breath. Looking at the endless sea, she felt ridiculously safe. It seems that to her, advertisement as long as I'm not around Levi. It's safe, baby son, let's get out of here. Ba Jin lay on top of Weevil and said after the disaster. Okay, Mom, I'm hungry. 5 days later. On the blue sea, the mammoth gallops without any scruples. For the purpose of deterrence, Levi didn't even take down the beast's pirate's flag. It must be said that the big pirate's deterrence was indeed sufficient. It was calm for 5 days without anyone disturbing him. Only, there are not enough clothes. Levi looked at the suitcase that had lost most of its weight and couldn't help but sigh. The clothes that originally filled the entire box now only have 2 pieces left. Levi has no habit of doing laundry. I usually wear one set and lose another. It's not that he's lazy, but because of his situation, he didn't have time to do laundry at all, so he developed this habit over time. Even though he could relax now, Levi still subconsciously kept his old habits. Forget it, let's do the laundry. Levi shook his head. He couldn't wear dirty clothes, and running around naked was even more impossible. Immediately, Levi turned around and entered the cabin. Prepare to wash this suit while it's hot. Levi looked at the chart. The next nearby Firebird Island will be arriving soon. You can go to Shangdao to buy a few pieces then. As for the money issue, there are still a lot of Baileys on Jack's boat. At the same time, I also took advantage of my free time to do laundry. Levi completed today's check-in. Open black lens bracket ding. Check-in successfully. Hosts various physical qualities plus 0.5. Today's template. Sessamaru, Firebird Island. A marine warship arrived in the waters near the island. A burly marine with a cigar in his mouth and a beard strode down. In his hand, he held a newspaper. It's Hijacking Vice Admiral. Chapter 16. What should I do if I meet Levi? Asking for flower evaluation votes. Huh? Jack's ship was blown up by Levi. There were pirates who witnessed it all. Huo Shaoshan looked at the newspaper in his hand and couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Interesting. This Levi really keeps doing surprising things. Vice Admiral of Huo Shaoshan, when are we going to hunt down Levi? Do you have any ideas from the headquarters? From behind, Marine, a young man with a sense of justice, stalked up to him and asked eagerly. He wants to capture Levi as quickly as possible. To him, Levi's behavior brought unrest to the world. And this factor shouldn't exist. Huo Shaoshan glanced at him and smiled. Dales, Sakazuki Admiral is the main force in capturing Levi. Why haven't you caught it yet? Young Dales couldn't help but sigh. He felt that according to Sakazuki Admiral's ability, Levi should be caught immediately. Could it be that Sakazuki Admiral let it slip? This is impossible. Sakazuki Admiral's character is obvious to all. He is a person who cannot tolerate even a grain of sand in his eyes. Huo Shaoshan took a puff of his cigar, as if he could see what Dales was thinking, and he smiled again. You underestimate Levi too much. Huo Shaoshan's eyes flickered. He thought of the report in Marine's top-secret files not long ago that recorded the battle between Perusalino and Levi. On the report, it is recorded that Levi used a style of swordsmanship that he had never seen before. This genre is used by no one in the world, in other words. This was most likely pioneered by Levi himself. One can imagine how powerful a swordsman is who can create his own swordsmanship school. Huo Shaoshan gathered his thoughts and said, let's not talk about Levi's strength for now, but his ability to counter detection is definitely one of the best in the world. You should know about Levi's special physique. There are so many people trying to catch him for such a walking treasure trove. But in fact, how many people can accurately trace Levi's traces? It can be said that Sakazuki may have only found a rough location now, and cannot accurately locate it at all. There is a reason why Levi can live for so long despite rumors. Put away your contempt, he is much stronger than you think. If you don't change this mentality, you will be irresponsible for your own life. Huo Shaoshan Vice Admiral's words were serious and slow, and he seriously explained the seriousness to the young Marine. Vice Admiral of Huo Shaoshan, what should we do if we meet? Advertisement, meet him. Just as Huo Shaoshan opened his mouth, he suddenly stopped. There's something wrong with the questioner's voice. This is not Dale's voice. Huo Shaoshan suddenly turned his head and looked to the left. That's where the sound comes from. Dales was also looking somewhere at the same time. His mouth opened wide, as if he was a ghost. I don't know when. A tall, thin and tall figure appeared on the left. He squatted calmly on the fence on the edge of the warship. Wearing a yellow striped suit, behind is the snow-white marine justice coat. Yo! Levi raised his hand and greeted them with a smile. Levi. Huo Shaoshan's face fell instantly, extremely ugly. Behind Levi, a white marine coat fluttered in the wind. This undoubtedly stimulates the nerves. Even though he was not a tough guy like Sakazuki, he still couldn't help but his eyelids twitching slightly at this moment. A big pirate, wearing Marine's coat of justice, he appeared in front of him without any disguise. Sir Huashaoshan, we found Jack's mammoth on the sea 8,000 meters away. What should we do? The adjutant ran up from behind, but in the middle of his words, he got stuck and his eyes widened uncontrollably. He saw Levi. Yo. Levi smiled and said hello again, without any sense of tit for tat. Gulu. The adjutant swallowed subconsciously, stiffened and looked at Huashao Mountain. It seems that what is said in the news is true. You did fight with Jack, but there is a slight discrepancy. You stole Jack's mammoth. Huo Shaoshan stared at Levi and said in a low voice. At the same time, click, advertisement, all the Marines around raised their guns and pulled bolts. The muzzles of the black hole were all aimed at Levi. Do you still want to rob our ship? Dales was shocked. He thought about the hijacking of the warship belonging to the Perusalino Admiral. Combined with the words of Vice Admiral of Huashaoshan. What does Levi mean here? Huo Shaoshan frowned. He didn't speak, just looking straight at Levi. You misunderstood. I didn't plan to rob the ship when I came today. Levi smiled and shook his head. This smile was very friendly and could not convey any malice. Huo Shaoshan ignored Levi's smile and was speechless. What does this mean? Aren't you here to grab a boat today? Are you saying that you will come back again in the future? Is Levi addicted to robbing boats? Is this some kind of special hobby that was awakened after robbing Perusalino's warship? What do you and I mean by coming here? You probably don't want to fight with us. Huo Shaoshan took a puff of his cigar, narrowed his eyes and spoke. He had an intuition in his heart, Levi, probably not here to fight. But I thought like this, but it didn't delay Huo Shaoshan's preparations at all. His right hand is behind his back, armament hockey quietly covers. I'm here to borrow some clothes, Levi said calmly. Huh? What clothes? Huo Shaoshan looked a little strange. Your coat and the marine suit that suits me, Levi spoke, still with a peaceful smile on his face. What? Chapter 17. Come to Marine to borrow some clothes, asking for flower evaluation boats. All Marines were stunned, after a brief period of confusion and shock. It's a strong sense of shame. Borrow clothes? Everyone looks ugly. Especially when I saw Perusalino's clothes on Levi. This is undoubtedly humiliating. Every Marine regards the uniform they wear as an honor. Only Marines above the school level are eligible to wear the Marine Justice Coat. A pirate, how can you wear the Marine uniform, which symbolizes honor and justice? Dales, who had a strong sense of justice, had his eyelids twitching wildly, feeling more uncomfortable than eating a dead fly. Can you borrow some clothes? Huo Shaoshan frowned. He didn't show the change of expression on his face like Dales did. Yes. Levi nodded. He originally wanted to go to the island to buy it, but didn't he just see Marine? Why do you want Marine's clothes? Huo Shaoshan asked. At this moment he thought of many possibilities. Fake Marine. Discredit the Black Army, to cover up people's eyes and ears. Etc., etc. The fabric of Marine's clothes is good, Levi said calmly, expressing his truest thoughts. Huo Shaoshan. Are you serious? He thought of so many reasons, but he didn't expect this. The key is, Levi's expression is sincere, it doesn't look like you're lying. Are you going to rob Marine just because of the comfort of your clothes? The corners of Huo Shaoshan's mouth twitched slightly. He thought of the records of Levi's character in the Marine files, which had only been a vague impression before. Now that we are in contact, he finally understands what it means to have an eccentric personality. Huo Shaoshan took a puff of his cigar and laughed. Go get it to him. This is. Dales was stunned for a moment, with a trace of unwillingness and hesitation flashing in his eyes, but he finally nodded. Before long, advertisement Dales came out carrying the suitcase. It's filled with Marine uniforms, thank you very much. Levi smiled, took the box and turned away. His goal has been achieved. Now you can enjoy the customs of Firebird Island. I heard that there are many strange birds with red feathers on this island, which are unique creatures. Levi thought, has disappeared from Marine's sight. Sir Huashaoshan, why did you give it to him so easily? Dales bit his lip, his face full of frustration. He thought of not long ago, when Levi hijacked a warship. Perusalino's subordinates surrendered the warship without any resistance. This matter has become a joke within Marine. Patton, Vice Admiral and others still can't raise their heads until now. But now, I have given up my Marine uniform, I maybe become the laughingstock of Marine. Thinking of this, Dale's sense of justice in his heart turned into a knife to torture himself, cutting his heart again and again. He would rather just go up and fight Levi and be beaten until he lies on the ground. Huo Shaoshan looks into the distance, Levi has disappeared. He took another puff on the cigar, this time with a large inhale, and the cigar was visibly missing a lot. We are no match for him. It's not worth risking your life for a few pieces of clothing. I know you want to fight, but if you die, where is your family? I need to be responsible for each of you, and... Huo Shaoshan's voice was very deep. He looked at the dejected correspondent beside him and asked. Vice Admiral Garp. Where is he now? The other side. Levi has driven the Mammoth to the waters outside the port of Firebird Island. Firebird Island covers an area of approximately 100,000 square kilometers. As the only country on the island, Firebird country is vast and has unique urban construction. The main body is all in red, and the architectural style is unconventional, like a city that only exists in fantasy. Oh, there really is a red strange bird. Levi looked up and saw large red birds flying densely in the sky. Like a moving rainbow, it creates a natural landscape. However, Levi's leisure and emotion, what a sharp contrast to the conditions at the port. Oh my god. The pirate ship is coming. Run quickly, pirates kill without blinking an eye, go home and hide. Everyone in the entire port was frightened and fled in all directions. This is Jack's pirate ship, the ship of the Four Emperors pirate group. Advertisement. Someone recognized the Mammoth, their eyes widened suddenly, cold sweat broke out, and even the legs that ran away became weak. Jack's reputation is well known, and they know what a vicious and cruel pirate he is. Wherever Jack has passed, villages are destroyed and cities are in ruins. Burning, killing, looting, everything. The word Jack caused the chaos in the port to escalate again. No one dared to stop at this time, everyone was running wildly. Quick, report to Marine. The sturdy young man ran quickly, taking out a phone bug and preparing to call Marine. And at this moment, someone realizes something. That's not right, there's a Marine standing on the pirate ship. Many people who were running away subconsciously turned around when they heard this, and were stunned when they saw it. On board, there really is a Marine, and he seemed to be still looking up at the sky, with a very leisurely expression. Something's wrong. What's happening here? A Marine appears on a pirate ship? The two formed a strong contradiction and contrast. It's hard to understand at all, people were confused, but their steps did not stop at all. Within 10 seconds, the port was deserted. It happened to be this time. Levi pilots the Mammoth, sailed into the port and anchored. It's a holiday at the port today? Or is there a festival in this city? Everyone is celebrating the festival. Levi looked at the empty port with some confusion. However, Levi looked around and a smile appeared on his face. He knew why. Levi didn't pay attention and walked towards the interior of the city. As soon as he left, many heads popped up from hidden corners. They're hiding. Is that Marine? Maybe so, he seems to be a senior military officer. Someone saw Levi's Marine code behind him, but why would a Marine appear on Jack's ship? Didn't you notice? He was the only one who stepped off the ship, there were no other pirates. Yeah, could it be said that this Marine defeated Jack and took away his ship? As soon as this guess came out, the port suddenly became quiet. Chapter 18. That is a very scary man. Please give me flowers and vote for comments. Defeat Jack. These words carry a lot of weight. If that's really the case, that would be amazing. Yes, even the leaders of the Four Emperors pirate group were defeated. Can we defeat the Four Emperors in the future? Many people present were excited, their eyes were shining, and they looked at Levi's back with admiration. Isn't this Marine the Vice Admiral? No, it's more likely to be the Admiral, right? Otherwise, how could he steal Jack's ship? The young man who had previously said he would report to Marine said excitedly. Defeating Jack and stealing the ship are not the same thing. The former only needs to defeat Jack alone. The latter defeated Jack and all his men without destroying the Mammoth in the process. He can defeat and seize the ship alone. It should be Admiral level, right? The young man was thoughtful, and at this time, a high decibel scream disrupted his thoughts. Wrong. It's not Marine at all, it's him. The person who spoke held a wanted notice in his hand and shouted loudly. This moment, everyone looked over with wide eyes. A few big words on the statistics order. The lone swordsman, Levi. 2.5 billion bounty. An old man's eyes turned white and he fell to the ground with a thud. Some people even shrank their heads, their bodies trembling with fear. It turns out it's him. The young man's face was full of astonishment. He didn't expect that the Marine he regarded as an admiral was actually a pirate. Levi, who can fight against 3 admirals. We walked through the gates of hell once. Some people are afraid, some are lucky, there are all kinds of expressions. The other side, Levi walks on the red street. He found that many buildings in the Firebird Kingdom could see the shadow of the creature, which can be said to be the representative animal of this country. This kind of flamingo actually looks somewhat similar to the flamingo Levi had seen before. When Levi walked into the city, he didn't cause much of a sensation. After all, the civilians here did not see the Mammoth anchored in the harbor. In addition, Levi was wearing a Marine coat, so only a few people recognized his identity. While walking, Levi's nose twitched slightly, he smelled a strange fragrance. Turning around and looking, advertisement: there is a busy barbecue stall on the roadside. Boss, here's a bunch. Levi squeezed into the crowd and took out a few Baileys. Okay. The boss put Bailey away with a smile and handed Levi a grilled meat skewer. Flesh pink, exudes a strong fragrance. Boss, what kind of meat is this? Levi asked curiously. Master Marine, this is the best Firebird meat. The boss rubbed his hands and said with a flattering smile. Levi. Is this also allowed to be eaten? Isn't a flamingo the country's iconic animal? It's actually edible. Hey, Mr. Marine, you don't know something. Although the Firebird is the representative animal of our country. But the breeding speed of Firebirds is so fast that it has caused obstacles to our lives. The king of this generation has no choice but to allow the hunting of firebirds, but the number of hunting will be limited. Boss Kaido. I see. Levi suddenly realized. There are indeed many flamingos, and you can see them everywhere on the road. I heard that this kind of bird eats grains, and it can really cause trouble if there are too many of them. I won't continue to dwell on this matter. Levi takes a bite of meat skewers. The meat is delicious and tender, truly a delicacy in the world. Give me 2 more skewers. Okay, the boss smiled brightly. Holding the meat skewers packed by the boss, Levi stopped as soon as he turned around. On the roadside, stood a pair of 5 or 6-year-old siblings. The little boy had a fleshy face, tilted his head, and his dark eyes shone with the innocent light unique to children. The girl doesn't look very stunning, but there are stars hidden in her eyes. Just one glance makes people know that these are a pair of eyes that can speak. Now, the boy was staring at Levi intently, his watery black eyes revealing a strong desire. Want to eat? Levi held up the meat skewers. Okay. The little boy's head was buzzing rapidly, and even his mouth kakuzu was faintly glistening. Levi couldn't help laughing. He took out a meat skewer from the bag and handed it to the little boy. Just as the little boy reached out to take it, the girl who was 2 years older than him quickly interrupted. Don't eat. Dad said you can't eat food from strangers. Halfway through the conversation, the little boy had already taken Levi's meat skewers and ate them in 2 bites. This. The girl's big eyes blinked, full of helplessness. Levi didn't say much and handed the remaining meat skewers to the girl. Eat. Levi smiled softly. Advertisement he didn't stay here anymore, turned around and left. As for thanks, to be honest, Levi rarely gets any thanks. I have been in this world for 2 years, he received only a handful of thanks. Too many people ran away in fear after learning his identity, even if Levi hadn't done anything evil yet. People's words are scary. These 4 words are the best explanation of all this. So, this time, Levi still didn't expect to be thanked. To him, it was just an inadvertent act of kindness. I thought to myself. Levi suddenly heard rapid footsteps behind him. But see, the little girl ran up, still holding the hot meat skewers in her hands, and said loudly. Thank you, big brother. The girl bowed seriously and looked very obedient. It seemed that she was thanking the protagonist very seriously because she took something from the protagonist. Although she is young, she is indeed very sensible. Levi laughed too. Grateful, it's better than nothing. Not long after Levi left, the girl and her brother were cuddling together. You and I were eating delicious meat skewers, with happy smiles on their faces. Shelley, Anderson. On the side, the old man with a beard walked up timidly. He seemed to be still afraid of something. What's the matter, Uncle Ryan? The little girl Shelley raised her head and her mouth was oily. This did not make her sloppy at all, but instead showed her cuteness. That man just now was a terrible person. Ryan hesitated to speak. He had long recognized Levi's identity. But he didn't dare to step forward, nor did he dare to pull the children away. He is afraid. Lest Levi kill him in the street. It was only now, after Levi had gone far, that he dared to come over. You are so lucky. He is a ferocious pirate. He dares to kill even celestial dragons, but Admiral is no match for him, Ryan said with lingering fear. But I think eldest brother is a good person. The little boy Anderson raised his head, his big eyes flashing, very confused. You are young. Ryan looked at where Levi left and kept repeating the words, what a blessing. As if, the person who just appeared in front of the 2 children was not a person, but a man-eating demon. Chapter 19 Marine surrounds, Garp arrives, asking for flower evaluation votes. Levi, who said goodbye to Shelley Anderson's siblings, had no idea that there would be such an episode after he left. At this moment, he have arrived at a noodle shop decorated in pink. Hiss Lou. Levi slurped the hot noodles. I have to say that the soba noodles in this store are really outstanding. Even though Levi had eaten 3 bowls, he still didn't feel satisfied. One more bowl. Levi said loudly. There was another noodle bowl piled on the table. Okay sir, here you go. The clerk came up quickly with soba noodles. However, just at this time, uniform footsteps sounded from outside the store door. Bang, bang, bang. These were extremely imposing footsteps. Hundreds of people were walking around in an orderly manner, causing Levi's desk to shake. Under the hot sunshine, Marine's uniform is dazzlingly white. This, hundreds of people, all Marines, noodle shop. Surprisingly surrounded by Marine troops, what happens? The clerk carrying the soba noodles looked at Marine who surrounded the noodle shop in horror. My hands were shaking uncontrollably, and the soba soup spilled out. As an ordinary person, even if he has not made any mistakes, he is still inevitably afraid when facing Marine. Fine. Levi smiled and stretched out his hand, steadying the clerk's trembling arm, and took the soba noodles from his hand. The clerk finally came to his senses and ran into the back kitchen to hide. The other guests ran and hid. In an instant, Levi is the only one left sitting in the noodle shop. Levi made no comment to the hundreds of Marines outside the store. Still the same as before, turn your back to the door. Eating soba noodles leisurely and contentedly, at this time. Click. Many Marines stood with their guns closed. Retreat to both sides, leave a gap in the middle. Two burly figures wearing marine coats walked out of the crowd at the same time. It's Garp and Huashaoshan, ha 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 ha, I finally met a real person today. Advertisement. Garp laughed boldly and walked into the noodle shop like a dragon or a tiger. He actually sat down in front of Levi. Suck. Levi raised his head while eating noodles. He raised his eyebrows and said, Marine hero Garp? You know me. Garp smiled. Who doesn't know the marine hero? Levi continued eating noodles. It's an honor for me to be remembered by the most popular man in the world. Garp bared his teeth and laughed heartily. This welcome is not literal. Levi listened. He knew what Garp meant by welcome. This means that many people in the world are thinking about him. It also points out the rumors about Levi's blood. Levi smiled. I don't like this welcome. Garp heard this. He didn't say much, just smiled. On the surface, this scene in the noodle shop doesn't seem to have any murderous intent. It doesn't look like the fierce battle between pirates and marine. Some people even believe that two old friends met. However, at this moment, hundreds of marines outside the venue. My whole body was wet with sweat, cold sweat flows one after another. Marine knew exactly who was sitting in the noodle shop. The big pirate with a bounty of 2.5 billion, even if there is no fighting, it still makes people sweat. This is the oppression brought about by the word Levi today. Is this the real Levi? He seems to be younger than the one on the wanted poster. Garp's adjutant Mallory also came, and when he saw Levi, he was slightly dazed. He is obviously about the same age as him, but it has such a huge influence around the world. Yes, very young. Huo Shaoshan squinted his eyes, puffed on a cigar, and spoke in a deep voice. Yes, too young. But in his early 20s, he already had Admiral's fighting ability. It makes people feel that all this is very unreal. Throughout history, there are no people like Levi, right? Even Roger, the Pirate King, was not famous at the age of 20. Different from the tension outside the noodle shop. The atmosphere inside the noodle shop is very relaxed. You shouldn't be chatting with me here. Levi glanced at Garp. Having said that, the action didn't stop at all. He picked up the noodle bowl and drank a few more mouthfuls of soup. Garp watched Levi eating noodles, thought for a moment, bared his teeth and said with a smile. Huo Shaoshan told me that I saw you, and I immediately came to see you. Some time ago, we, Marine, accepted your love. Some time ago? Levi put down the bowl and wiped his mouth. Oh, you said it was about Edward? Advertisement. He thought about what Garp had said. It should be that Marine knew about his defeat of Whitebeard 2 and the rescue of the Elka Chamber of Commerce a few days ago. Thank you. Levi laughed. Is Marine going to give me an award? Upon hearing this, Garp couldn't help but laugh. I don't plan to award any awards, but I don't intend to arrest you this time, so I can repay the favor from last time. Oh. Levi nodded. Don't catch it, that's okay. Pick up the soba noodles and continue eating. Garp didn't care either. He didn't speak, but he didn't speak either. The same goes for Huo Shaoshan outside the door, looking at Levi in the store with a faint smile. Time, bit by bit. The scene seems to be frozen. The only sound left in the field was the sound of Levi eating noodles. This is a strange scene, it's also a shocking scene. The ordinary people hiding in the corner of the noodle shop looked at each other, and they felt a little weird from this situation. Outside the door, Dale's eyes widened slightly. He somewhat understood why Chief Huashaoshan admonished him. I can eat noodles so calmly in front of marine hero Garp. This courage and determination, it was enough to shock Dale's. Levi, terrible indeed. Bliss. Levi finished his last bite of noodles. Aren't you going to arrest me? If you don't arrest me, I won't arrest you, but I have something to do. There was a flash of light in Garp's eyes, like a meteor passing by. He laughed boldly and said, I want to have a fight with you. I'm grateful for my gratitude, but I still have to fight. Even if it's just a show, I have to do it, otherwise I won't be able to explain it. Outside the door, Huo Shaoshan couldn't help but hold his forehead and said, Vice Admiral Garp, don't say what's on your mind. Oops, I accidentally said it, ha 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 ha. Garp laughed, showing no apology at all. Levi put down the bowl. I've finished eating the soba noodles. Garp put away his smile and looked at Levi. Have you finished your noodles? It's done. Levi nodded. Then let's have a fight. Garp grinned. Levi also understood. Garp waited for him to eat just to have this fight with him. I'm looking forward to fighting you, Garp said. After a long absence, the old marine hero had a look of eagerness on his face. Chapter 20 Battle with Garp. Claw marks tearing the sky, asking for flower evaluation votes. Are you looking forward to a battle with yourself? Exercise after meals. Well, it seems good. Are you sure? Although you are polite to me, I will not show mercy, Levi said calmly. Garp can be polite, but Levi's stance and situation told him that he couldn't hold back. Once you get injured by keeping your hands, people who want to kill him will definitely come in droves. This is not an acceptable outcome for Levi. It's better not to hold back. Although I'm old, I'm not to the point where young people need to hold back. I'm different from that boy Perusalino. Garp smiled heartily. The coat behind him has automatically rolled without any wind. An aura as rich as a mountain bloomed from Garp. Levi smiled too. Roar. At this moment, There seemed to be a vague roar of a monster coming from his body. Nothing earth-shattering, on the contrary, it makes people's hair stand on end. As if standing in front of me now, not a person. Instead, he became a demon, today's template, Sesshomaru. Sesshomaru is a demon, an out-and-out monster, Shang. The branches held in Levi's hand, the surging demonic energy, like a vast sea, swept away in all directions. Suddenly, the wind and clouds surge, and the sky suddenly turned dark. Between heaven and earth, a gust of evil wind blew up out of thin air. Something's wrong. What happened? All Marines are facing an enemy at this moment. They didn't understand what was happening before them. But I know, Levi has become different. This is not a place for fighting, Garp said. He witnessed Levi's changes with his own eyes, the momentum rises. The appearance of evil spirits, this is an unknown change. Changes like never seen before. Garp thought about the records about Levi's power in the archives. The abilities are ever changing and there are unpredictable means. Advertisement, but what does it matter? One battle is all. Garp's eyes sparkled. He stepped on Moonwalk, turned into a shadow, and flew into the air. Shua. Levi flew out immediately after him. The evil spirit enveloped his whole body. The speed of flyby is only faster than Garp. The two of them did not fight in the city. Midair is their battlefield. At this moment, all Marines raised their heads. Lift your eyes and look, afraid of Levi, but also excited by this fight. Marine hero Garp is about to take action. The opponent is Levi, who has become famous in the past 6 months. Come on, have a good fight. Garp roared like thunder and came from the air. Hockey is incredible. The spirit of this marine hero was revealed without reservation. Boom, the wind was strong, flying sand and rocks, and the sand and dust blocked the sun. The Firebirds started to frighten and hid in the forest. This is not a real fight, just the waves of air caused by Levi and Garp's body movements. Boom. Garp rushed forward and raised a pair of iron fists, and the dark armor color was instantly covered. Powerful and as arrogant as a beast. Roar, Levi didn't move, standing tall in the air, but another roar came out of his body, like a thunderous bombardment, or like the sky was shattering. In this brief moment, all Marines on land, I saw an incredible scene. The moment I was in a trance just now, behind Levi, a huge demon dog seemed to appear. Its eyes are scarlet, its mouth is open and it looks at the sky. As if to challenge the sky. While he is arrogant and domineering, he also has a great evil nature that makes people's hair stand on end. Countless people were briefly dazed. They didn't see clearly what happened. They only felt a white shadow flashing away in the sky. Only Garp saw all this clearly, however, he was not moved at all. A pair of iron fists smashed down, boom. With just one punch, the wind blasted through the air and created a vacuum. Chang. Levi raised his palm slightly, and the branch collided with Garp's right fist, causing a crash sound like two warships colliding. Advertisement, rumble. Where the two collided, an earth-shaking loud noise broke out. The air was shattered by the shock, and violent airwaves swept out for an unknown number of meters. There is no trace of gravel in the entire airspace, everything is strangled into powder. This moment, Garp's eyes suddenly shrank, he had a delusion. Blocking his fist, as if it were not a branch, but the sharp claws of a monster. Roar, the arrogant barking appeared again. Garp stepped on Moonwalk and subconsciously stepped back. Laugh, this retreat is hundreds of meters, and between Garp and Levi. There are 3 faint traces of separation, this is weird. It's obviously in midair with nothing, but 3 obvious cracks appeared. As if, tear the sky apart, this is. Garp's eyes flashed slightly. In the eyes of others, they might think that Levi had struck 3 blows in a short period of time. But in his eyes, this is more like the claw marks left by a wild beast's claws. Levi, you are getting more and more interesting. Is this the reason for your special physique in the rumors? Even I believe such nonsense rumors. Garp laughed boldly. He did not shy away from fighting at this moment and spoke his mind freely. It's up to you. Levi remained unmoved. Changes in myself. The appearance of evil spirits, just because today's swordsman template is Sesshomaru. That's all. Perhaps, one day half a year ago, he also activated an inhuman swordsman. Someone witnessed the same scene as Garp, hence the rumors. This is just Levi's guess. He doesn't know the truth and doesn't want to know the truth. Garp. Step on Moonwalk and kill again. Chapter 21 The Phantom of the Demon Dog in the Sky. Asking for flower evaluation votes. Boom boom boom. The battle between Levi and Garp caused the entire sky to tremble. The collision between fist and sword set off a huge wave of air. Layers of roars were like rolling thunder, penetrating the sky and the earth. Vice Admiral Garp seems very interested. The day Golden Lion escaped from impelled down, is this his first real attack? Huo Shaoshan looked up at the sky, his eyes narrowed slightly, and the bright crimson light in his eyes flashed away. Observation Hockey. He saw the majestic Garp and the unrivaled iron fist of Garp Hockey. Saw it too. Levi's terrifying slash is like tearing the heavens and the earth apart. Mr. Garp's current aura doesn't show that he is old at all. Dales looked very excited. He couldn't see clearly the battle in the sky, but just by relying on this earth-shattering momentum, he could imagine how fierce this battle was, how powerful the marine hero is. Yes, the growth of age has not only not weakened Garp's momentum, but also made him settle down, and he has a kind of thick courage like a mountain. Garp is now, in some ways, scarier than before. Huo Xiaoshan nodded lightly. Mention Garp. Even if Huo Xiaoshan is a vice admiral, he is quite admirable. Garp can be called a marine hero. It definitely not only means strength, but also a kind of demeanor, a demeanor that has never been seen in other marines. Heroic demeanor. If we say, every strong man in marine has his own justice. So, Huo Xiaoshan thinks, Garp's justice is the justice of heroes. Marine hero, Garp deserves the title, but Garp's strength is expected in Huo Xiaoshan. In his heart, Garp should be so powerful because he is a marine hero. Levi is different. Huo Xiaoshan was really frightened. In this battle, Levi did not lose at all, and even had a faint tendency to suppress Garp. What's even more surprising is that, the swordsmanship used by Levi. Very evil. From Huo Xiaoshan's point of view, this is not even considered a swordsmanship. It's more like a demon fighting with instinct. It's as if Levi's every slash is like a monster waving its claws. And, Garp is in the air, which is a state of staying in the air while stepping on moonwalk. Levi looks like he's actually flying. Chief Huo Xiaoshan, you should help Vice Admiral Garp capture Levi, right? Beside him, Huo Xiaoshan's adjutant suddenly spoke, pulling Huo Xiaoshan out of his thoughts. Help. Huo Xiaoshan smiled and shook his head. Garp won't allow it, didn't you hear? Garp said before that he would not arrest Levi, and don't look at Garp's words, just going through the motions. Advertisement in fact, he is really looking forward to this battle with Levi. As if to confirm Huo Xiaoshan's words. Happy. In the sky, Garp's bold laughter came. Come on, use your tricks, Levi. This moment, all Marines' eyes widened. They saw a shocking picture. The shadow of a snow-white demon dog appeared. Open your mouth and roar, claws waved, tearing heaven and earth apart. And at the same time, laugh, Levi held the branch in his hand and chopped it down with his sword. This ordinary branch erupted with a mighty force like a mountain falling, and the evil energy surrounding Levi's body exploded instantly. Soaring straight into the sky, penetrating the heaven and earth. There was a huge gap in the white clouds. At this moment, Levi really seemed like a great demon resurrected, his hair flying, and his whole person was infected with unparalleled demonic and evil nature. A pair of dark eyes were only calm, which formed a strong contrast with the boiling evil spirit. This is an indescribable state of mind. The fighting spirit is soaring, but the heart is as calm as water. Come. Garp laughed, and he didn't back down. The marine hero only made one action at this moment. Punch out. Boom. Garp is so powerful that his pitch-black fist rubs against the air and creates dazzling sparks, like a comet falling from the sky. This punch is a terrifying force that can level mountains and break small islands into two. Boom, swords and fists collide. This moment, between heaven and earth. No more sound. Everyone, they all became deaf at this moment. Boom, the collision broke out silently, Garp and Levi. Back up at the same time. No one can see the specific situation clearly. The condensed wind pressure exploded in the air, this power. It's like thousands of cannonballs exploding at the same time. Rumble, the airwaves are empty, stretching across the sky and the earth. Advertisement, buzz. There was constant ringing in the ears, and countless people were holding their heads and squatting on the ground in pain. Throughout the Firebird Kingdom, only Huo Xiaoshan didn't cover his ears, but even so, he blocked the wind with his hands to block the knife like airwaves. In chaos, the light of seeing and hearing in Huo Xiaoshan's eyes has never disappeared. He's worried about Garp. Huo Xiaoshan has vaguely noticed something is wrong with Levi. I don't know how much time has passed. The wind pressure disappears, the airwaves calm down, the dust falls, and the sun shines on the earth again. All of this finally returned to calm, in the sky. Two figures stand opposite each other, Garp, Levi. The clothes on both of them were not damaged, and their expressions did not change. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Monster, monster. Everyone's eyes widened and they couldn't help but exclaimed. If only Garp, who fought with Levi, could feel it before. So now, everyone saw the fleeting shadow of the demon dog in the sky. Incomparably huge, like a mountain or a building. Could it be? Levi is not human? At this moment, such a strange thought occurred in the hearts of countless people. They thought about what Garp said before, perhaps. Garp, who was facing Levi, had already noticed it. Monster, these two words make people curious, but even more scary. You know, in this world, monsters only exist in stories. All major sea areas in the world, there are monsters. And no demon. The outcome of this battle may no longer be important. From the moment the ghost dog appears, everyone's thoughts were focused on the big demon that was roaring up to the sky and trying to tear the sky apart. Suddenly, Levi moved. Hey, that's about it for the after-dinner exercise, I'm leaving. He waved his hand, smiled and left. There was no response from Garp. He stood where he was, watching Levi leave silently. Not a word. Chapter 22. Still a Marine hero, please vote for flowers. The sky is clear and cloudless. There are no traces of the battle here. It was as if everything disappeared with Levi's departure. Who's winning? Is it Vice Admiral Garp? The Marines looked at the sky, looking at Garp's old but still lion-like back, and finally woke up from the shock caused by the demon dog's phantom. It must be Vice Admiral Garp. Dales clenched his fists. After truly seeing the majestic appearance of the hero Garp, he believes this is the result. Is it a firm belief? No, the shock Levi brought to him was really too great. Huo Xiaoshan's eyes flickered. In his pupils reflecting the crimson light, Garp's back is frozen. Everyone is looking forward to the outcome of this battle. Even the calm Huo Xiaoshan. Finally, Garp moved. He fell from the sky step by step, and Moonwalk's airborne effect ended. This kid. Garp stared at the direction Levi left and took a deep breath. At this moment, this man stands at the top of the world like a majestic peak. An iconic figure in Marine, the symbol of the hero of justice. There was actually a hint of old age on his face that shouldn't have appeared. The result of this battle, only Garp himself knows. He lost. Even though he didn't use all his strength, he could feel that Levi didn't use all his strength either. In the final analysis, he lost. Levi is really strong, just like what the boy Perusolino said. He's so strong that he doesn't look like a human being at all, but a monster. For a brief moment, an uncontrollable thought appeared in Garp's mind. Own, are you really old? Garp, how's it going? Behind him, the sound of burning mountains sounded, pulling Garp out of his thoughts. Garp turned his head, laughing out loud. Advertisement. You were right to give him clothes without fighting him, ha 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 ha. In laughter. Garp's old age disappears. He is still the indomitable Marine hero. Levi left the fighting site. He let go of his thoughts and walked as he pleased, wherever he went. Unknowingly. It was already evening, and the sunset hung in the sky, adding a touch of dreaminess to the world. This happens to be the time when people go home from get off work and have dinner, which is the most leisurely time for people all day long. A father who has been working hard all day can come home and enjoy the delicious food cooked by his wife. The children can finally coquettishly fall into the arms of their loved ones. The same is true for Korya Village, as a village located on the edge of Firebird country. There is a strong smell of nature here, and together with the smoke, it is an ordinary and beautiful life. Levi walks among the mountain trails. Smell the fragrance of the earth. He hasn't been to the village for several days, when I just crossed over. I am in a small village, an ordinary village. It's so common that it doesn't even have a name on the world map. If it is possible, Levi wants to go back to the original village and have a good sleep. Unfortunately, this idea may not be realized. Chaos and disputes are destined to accompany Levi for the rest of his life, and returning will only bring trouble to the small village. Boom. Suddenly, the piercing sound of the gunshot caused a large flock of flamingos to fly in the forest. It was accompanied by cruel shouts of killing. The direction happens to be Korya Village. Pirate? Levi's memory was interrupted, and he thought for a moment. Walked towards the direction of Korya Village. Korya Village. Everyone, listen up, hand over all your Baileys and spare your lives. I give. Boom. The sound of gunfire was piercing. A bullet hole appeared in the ground. Ha 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 ha, idiot, hurry up lousy, otherwise the next shot will hit your head. The scar-faced pirate blew away the smoke from the gun with a joking smile. In front of him, a large group of villagers knelt. Advertisement. Everyone lowered their heads and trembled. The scar-faced pirate enjoys the pleasure of dominating his life. At this moment, he feels he can do anything. Put Bailey in, please. The pirates shouted and walked past the trembling villagers with big bags. The frightened villagers dared not resist under the threat of guns, and they handed over Bailey one by one. Boss Stan, this guy still has money hidden. Suddenly, a pirate pointed at a middle-aged man kneeling on the ground and shouted. Huh, you're quite brave. Scarface Stan sneered and walked up. Walked along the way, all the villagers' heads were buried lower. Afraid of offending this cruel pirate, as expected. The middle-aged man was covering the money bag in his arms in fear. Please, don't take it away. The middle-aged man looked pale and begged bitterly. Stank's eyes flashed coldly. He kicked the middle-aged man right in the heart and kicked him several meters away. Lousy, I see you want money rather than your life, Chris spat. Ignoring the middle-aged man's pleading, he bent down to snatch the money bag. If you take it away, my children won't be able to eat for a week. Please, don't take it away. The middle-aged man refused to let go no matter what. Chris' expression changed, and he realized that his strength was no match for this thin man who was easily kicked to the ground by him. The purse is in his hand, as if taking root. No matter what, I can't get it. Boss Stan, what's going on with you? Ha 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 ha, Stan, you haven't eaten enough today. The pirates laughed without any scruples. The cold light in Stank's eyes is breathtaking. He raised his gun. Boom, the sound of gunfire was piercing. Blood oozed from the middle-aged man's chest, his eyes quickly dimmed. The hand holding the money bag also loosened little by little. Dad! Suddenly, two young figures rushed out of the house. Shelley, Anderson, go back quickly. In the distance, among the villagers kneeling on the ground, Uncle Ryan suddenly raised his head and shouted loudly. Chapter 23. Kill all the thieves in one step, asking for flower evaluation votes. Dad, Shelley and Anderson ignored the threat of the pirates and rushed to the middle-aged man and cried loudly. The dying middle-aged man opened his eyes. It's okay. Shelley, take your brother back and don't come out. He spoke, his voice originally weak, but as he spoke, it became stronger, with the same smile on his face. He died. If it weren't for the gloomy look in his eyes, no one would have noticed he was dead. His smile remained the same until his death. Dad. Anderson bit his index finger and looked at his father with big eyes. Dad seems to be fine. Are you tired and sitting on the ground for a while? Anderson was thinking. Let's go, Anderson. Shelley took her brother's little hand. This moment, her lips trembled. Shelley, 2 years older, knew what it all meant. She pulled her brother towards the house, her eyes filled with mist, but she held back not a single tear. The threat of pirates. The younger brother only has himself. As a sister, she couldn't cry. She had to be strong in front of her younger brother, and she could only be strong. Idiots who want money rather than their lives, these two brats are wise enough not to follow your father. Chris only had cruelty in his eyes and his tone was extremely contemptuous. Anderson seemed to understand, but he wanted to look back. But was blocked by Shelley. Boom, the door is closed. A dull knock hits everyone's heart. The villagers lowered their heads. Uncle Ryan burst into tears. Died, his old friend was brutally murdered by pirates. But he can't do anything. Even when Shelley and Anderson rushed out just now, he didn't stand up to protect them under the pirates' eyes. Don't dare, also cannot. He also has relatives and children of his own. And at this time, boom, gunshots rang out suddenly. The person who fired the shot was the pirate leader Stank. Stank's arms trembled slightly as he pointed at the man who suddenly appeared behind him. There was no expression on the man's face, and his dark eyes were like rippleless lake water, clear but elusive. Behind, Marine's coat billows in the wind. What really shocked Stan was that this Marine could hold the bullet he shot with just 2 fingers. Marine? All the pirates moved, raising their guns at Levi at the same time, looking wary. However, Levi, who was trapped in the net, didn't even look at these pirates. His sight, falling on the siblings Shelley and Anderson further away. Advertisement. Levi remembered them, he had barbecued them before in the city. The little girl said thank you very sensibly. That was one of the few thanks Levi received. Wait, he's not a Marine at all. He's Levi, Stank suddenly shouted. He recognized Levi's identity. Levi? Blood can make the dead alive. Can Levi with flesh and bones be alive? One of the pirates shouted loudly, his eyes shining. If Levi is caught, Stan's breathing became heavy. We don't have to worry about this for the rest of our lives. The scene suddenly became quiet, only the heavy breathing of the pirates. Kill him. I don't know who shouted. All the pirates present rushed out at this moment. Come towards Levi. Levi still didn't look at them. He just spoke lightly. There are always some fools in this world who are blinded by money and have no brains. Levi's hair is flying, like a big demon waking up. Roar, the shadow of the dog demon appeared again. He raised his hand, this time, it's no longer a sword slash. But, claws. Laugh, between heaven and earth. 3 cracks emerge. Click. All the advancing pirates stopped at this moment. Time seems to stand still. Then, 3 bloodstains appeared on their bodies. Plop. Head, chest, trunk, legs, lower limbs. Divided into 4 sections, it was like being torn apart by a monster. Levi raised his legs, he is moving forward. He didn't even look at Stan and the other pirates. Take the first step. The bodies of Stank and others fell into 4 pieces and fell to the ground. The first step falls, green venom appeared on the surface of the wound, and the flesh and blood melted quickly. All the pirates disappeared into thin air, as if they had never appeared in this world. Step. Kill all the thieves, from beginning to end. Levi never drew his sword. Advertisement. They don't deserve it. All the villagers were stunned. He raised his head and stared at this scene in a daze. The pirate who made them kneel in humiliation died so easily in Levi's hands. The pirate is dead. Ryan was also stunned. The pirate who threatened his life was killed, but he was killed by Levi, who was also a pirate. Boom. The door opened, Shelley and Anderson rushed out quickly. This moment, they no longer have any inhibitions. Howl. Dad, Shelley fell on her father's body, which was gradually becoming cold, and burst into tears. Until the end, this thin man was smiling, as if asleep. Just to keep the kids from worrying. Woo 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 woo. Anderson cried at the top of his voice, he finally understood. My father may be somewhere far, far away, never come back. Far away. Levi's eyes flickered slightly, he took steps. Walking towards the 2 siblings. Big brother. Shelley raised his head, his tear-stained face looked helpless. Uncle Ryan said your blood can save people. Big brother, please save my father. I will kowtow to you. Anderson was stunned at first, but immediately reacted and knelt down and kowtowed vigorously. He also thought of what Uncle Ryan said about Levi before. Levi is a big pirate, but so what? He ate barbecue for himself and killed the pirate who bullied his father. Uncle Ryan also said that Levi's blood has the ability to revive the flesh and bones of the dead. Anderson just wants to save his father. Please, big brother, please save my dad. I can do whatever it is. I can wash and cook, and... Shelly followed her brother and kowtowed vigorously, crying so hard that she couldn't even finish a complete sentence. I can't speak. Suddenly, a warm big hand suddenly covered the top of her head. Stop crying. Your father will feel sorry for you and doesn't want to see you like this. Levi rubbed the heads of Shelly and Anderson with a very soft tone. As soon as these words came out, the inner strength of the two children was finally broken and they burst into tears. In their opinion, this is Levi's comfort. Brother Levi can't save his father. Levi didn't seem to hear the children's cries. He got up, slowly walked to the middle-aged man's body, whisper in a voice that only you can hear. I understand your pain, the pain of not having parents. Whether in his past life or in this life, Levi has always been alone. He has no parents, no relatives to rely on, only a dean who loved him in his previous life. It happens to be Sesshomaru again. Maybe I am destined to be a bad guy today. Levi said, laughing to himself. Chapter 24. After today, the world will be shaken by Levi. Please vote for flowers. Sesshomaru, the great demon with a compassionate heart. Its accompanying sword is Tianshan Ya, one of the 3 domineering swords in the world. This sword can only save people, not kill. After activating Sesshomaru's template, Levi not only masters Sesshomaru's power, he can also use Tenga's abilities. This moment, Levi stood in front of the middle-aged man's corpse. Close your eyes slowly. There is no external change in the branch in my hand. But the ability of natural teeth has been given. Branches are natural teeth. Suddenly, Levi opens his eyes. The scene in his eyes quietly change. Ugly black creatures are emerging from the ground and walking towards the middle-aged man's body. Messenger of the Underworld. The name came to Levi's mind. This creature is similar to the black and white impermanence in the story. As long as the messenger from the underworld comes into contact with the middle-aged man's body, he will die completely. It was in the state of the natural teeth that Levi could see the messenger of the underworld. The messenger from the underworld approached step by step, only 1 step away from the middle-aged man's body. This moment, under the watchful eyes of the villagers, Levi made an incomprehensible move. Lift your sword. Cut into the air. Laugh. It was obviously air, but it made a dull splitting sound. Only Levi knows. This sword killed all the messengers from the underworld who wanted to take away the middle-aged man. This is the most domineering and incredible thing about Tianshan Ya. Even the cycle of cause and effect can be broken, and even natural life and death can be ignored. It can be said to be a miracle weapon of relief from ancient times to the present. The middle-aged man who was supposed to be dead suddenly reacted. His eyelids tremble slightly, with everyone's expressions as if they've seen a ghost. He suddenly raised his upper body. He coughed violently. Dad. Shelly was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes suddenly burst into indescribable joy. It was as if the stars in my eyes were lighting up again. Advertisement. Dad. Anderson howled. He didn't understand what was happening. Only know, his father is back. Shelly. Anderson. The middle-aged man was stunned. He didn't understand the situation in front of him. Isn't he dead? Why again? At this moment, Shelly, who was desperately looking forward to his father's resurrection, did not immediately fall into his father's arms after his father was truly resurrected. Instead, he wiped away his tears and stood up. Shelly looked back. She wanted to thank big brother Levi. But I found that the figure standing there had disappeared. At the end of the road, Levi's back is straight and his steps are relaxed. It was at this same time, boom, 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 a burst of neat footsteps sounded in the mountains and forests, overwhelming all sounds. A group of Marines are heading towards Korea village. Leading Marine, it's Garp. At this moment, Garp looked at the scene in the distance and was extremely shocked. He felt that his previous concepts had been subverted. Saved someone who should have died. Garp saw everything from a distance. The dead middle-aged man is resurrected. Could it be that the rumors about Levi are true, that he does have that kind of miraculous ability? At this moment, Garp was thinking of his dead comrades. One familiar face after another appears in the depths of memory. Can they all be resurrected? Even Garp had a hope that he could not even imagine at this moment. Garp finally realized it deeply, how greedy and extravagant are those who pursue Levi. However, Garp is Garp after all. All thoughts that arose in his mind were suppressed. Just watch Levi leave in silence. Some people and some things can never be recovered. Even if they can come back, who can prove that things have changed? Falling down on the battlefield desperately and being buried in Marine's heroic cemetery is what those old guys have been pursuing all their lives. Levi, do you know that after today, the world will be shaken by you again? Garp narrowed his eyes, looked at Levi's back, and whispered. Shelly is also looking into the distance. Advertisement. She doesn't care what Marine, regardless of whether Levi is a big pirate or not. She rushed into the Marine queue. He yelled with all his strength towards the retreating figure in the distance. Big brother, thank you. Levi didn't look back, just waved his hand. Shelly's eyes flashed with tears. At this moment, she finally understood what Levi said before. Your father will feel sorry for you and won't want to see you like this. It turns out, this is not comfort, big brother, thank you. Shelly stood there and shouted, the tender voice of children echoes through the mountains and forests. Repeated it again and again, at the same time. Naval Headquarters. Sengoku Office. Puff, puff, puff. The phone on the desk suddenly rang. Is this a call from Garp? Sengoku glanced at it and immediately picked up the phone bug. Levi really has the ability to resurrect people. Sengoku was stunned at first, but I understood it immediately. Garp, what do you mean, what happened? Sengoku stood up directly from his seat. Garp didn't delay, he told the whole story of the matter as quickly as possible. Sengoku fell into silence, looking at the phone bug in his hand, speechless for a long time. Before today, Levi's story has not been confirmed and can only be regarded as a rumor. But after today, it has been confirmed. The crane beside him took a long breath. She stood up and walked slowly to the window sill. Outside the window, the sky was blue, and a white seagull drew a graceful arc in the sky. The pirates in New World can't sit still anymore. His solemn words slowly echoed in the office. Chapter 25. Levi's blood, I want it for my father, asking for flower evaluation votes. Grand Line, second half. This is the territory ruled by the Four Emperors, a paradise the pirates dream of entering. It's called New World. Boom. The huge whale-like pirate ship broke through the water and raised two huge curtains of waves. Wherever it passed, all the pirate ships changed their course, and even appeared in the opponent's field of vision. This ship is called Moby DK. It is also one of the Four Emperors, the pirate ship of the Whitebeard pirate ship. Gu la 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 la. Good wine. Whitebeard stood bold and grandiose astride the steps, holding a large red wine bowl in his right hand. Just drink it with your head raised and enjoy it heartily. The transparent wine slipped from the corner of Whitebeard's mouth and flowed through his strong body. Can be seen, Whitebeard's body is covered with needles and needles, a sign that his body is beginning to weaken. This Four Emperors who has the title of the strongest man in the world. Finally getting old. But even so, Whitebeard still has a terrifying momentum, which is a power that no one can underestimate. Even though he is old, he is still the #1 man in the world and still has the power to destroy the world. It can be said that only when Whitebeard really closes his eyes and sleeps underground. Only then will the world let go of their fear of him. This is the weight of Four Emperors. Whitebeard, Dad, your drinking capacity is as amazing as ever, but you must also pay attention to your health. Margao rubbed his messy yellow hair and walked out of the cabin, looking at Whitebeard with eyes full of concern. Don't worry, my dear child, my body is not fragile enough to be destroyed by a few drops of wine. Whitebeard laughed boldly, raised his head and took another swig of drink. Margao shook his head helplessly. He knew that his father had a temper that could not be easily persuaded. Margao, today's newspaper is here. Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division, walked up with the newspaper he had just received from the messenger Seabird. Ace is still very immature now, but the heaviness in his eyes has never disappeared. Good. Margao reached out to pick it up. He would not miss the daily newspaper. Many times, the news in the newspaper was the source of important intelligence. However, just one glance, Margao paused. The whole person felt like being struck by lightning. His hand holding the newspaper was even shaking at this moment, with blue veins exposed. In newspapers, there is only one title. Levi's physique confirmed. Confirmed to have the ability to possess the flesh and bones of the living dead. Close double-angle bracket. That's the title. It made Margao feel a storm in his heart. His gaze, subconsciously he looked at Whitebeard who was sitting astride the steps. Dad's back is majestic, but I'm really starting to get old. Advertisement even sick. The #1 man in the world actually needs medical equipment to assist the operation of his body at this time. This is enough to show the seriousness of the problem. Margao, what did you see? Ace walked up. He had never seen such a look on Margao's face. What? Just one glance, and Ace was stunned. Captain, let me take a look. Blackbeard Teach also walked up. At this time, Blackbeard didn't show any dignity and even looked a little simple. Show me too. Beside him, his friend Saki also came up. At this moment, the crew members on the deck all noticed this and walked over in unison. Seriously? Levi's blood really has that effect? Chowzi, the captain of the 3rd Division, was irritated, but he could feel the trembling in his tone. In this case, if Levi is caught, Ace swallowed. His eyes subconsciously looked at Whitebeard, at this moment. Not just Ace. All the crew members on Whitebeard's ship focused their attention on Whitebeard. In everyone's heart, just one thought, a crazy idea. Dad, you can regain your youth, back when I was still young. The #1 man in the world who hasn't gotten sick yet. The pinnacle of the 4 Emperors, Whitebeard, Gu la 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 la. At this moment, Whitebeard, who had his back to everyone, suddenly stood up. He is so tall, even though he is old, he is still like a mountain, protecting his sons from wind and rain. My dear sons, do you underestimate me too much? This moment, Whitebeard's aura was so strong that the whole sea was rolling and moaning because of him. I am 4 Emperors, Whitebeard. My body is not old enough yet and needs the blood of others to support it. Whitebeard laughed boldly and was so angry that he flew into the sky. Even if Levi's blood can help him recover physically and become young again, so what? He, Whitebeard, doesn't need to. So what if I'm old? So what if I'm dying? As long as he doesn't die for a day. He is the strongest in the world, no one can shake it. This moment, Haki is undoubtedly the world's #1 man. There is no one more suitable for this title than Whitebeard. My dear sons, I am a remnant of the old era, and there is no ship that can carry me in the new world. Advertisement. Whitebeard looked at Margao and the others beside him, and he silently read this sentence in his heart. Today, he is very happy, having a crew member who is like family to him. In Whitebeard's eyes, Margao and others are his sons. In the years to come, Whitebeard also just wants to spend this time peacefully with his sons. This is his expectation and what he insists on, in other words. Now Whitebeard no longer wants to compete for hegemony. But seriously, doesn't Whitebeard want to be young? Don't you want to take another walk with your sons? Whitebeard thought. If there was a way to regain youth without paying any price, Whitebeard would definitely do it. But in fact, Levi's existence is destined to be an Uzumaki who wants to devour all greedy people. This is bound to be a battle that involves the entire world. Want to steal Levi's blood? It's not just about fighting Levi. There are too many forces around the world ready to move. For example, the other 4 Emperor's pirates. Whitebeard is indeed confident of dominating the world, and he even believes that the Whitebeard pirates have the greatest chance of stealing Levi's blood. But, how many people will die after this battle? How many of his sons will survive? Even if Levi can resurrect people, can he really resurrect everyone? Whitebeard didn't know and didn't want to gamble. He is neither willing nor able to sacrifice any of his sons in exchange for his own youth. Dad. Ace wanted to say more. Old la, I'm not old yet. Whitebeard laughed, the ocean of laughter trembles. The laughing sky is cracking, there are dense cracks in space. Shockfruit, undoubtedly the strongest fruit, in the crowd. Margot looked at the laughing Whitebeard and remained silent. He clenched his fists. Dad, I must make you young again and reach the pinnacle of this era again. This day will definitely come, Margot swore in his heart. He wants Levi's blood for his father, and what no one knows is the name Levi. There is another person who is firmly remembered in my heart. He is Blackbeard. Chapter 26. The third way to cross the red line, asking for flower evaluation votes. At the same time that the Whitebeard pirates received the newspaper. New World, Dressrosa, in the high ground of the king. A low, hoarse laugh that revealed endless greed and heroic temperament resounded. Hey, Levi, your blood is really the most precious treasure in the world. If I get your blood before those guys in Mariejois, their expressions will be very wonderful, right? Bah. New World, somewhere in the sea, this is an unknown island. The banquet bonfire has been burning on this small island for 3 days and 3 nights. A hearty banquet is being held. Suddenly, messenger seabirds flew across the sky, and a newspaper with black and white letters fell down. A man who was drinking stretched out his hand and caught the newspaper accurately. Huh? Are the rumors about Levi actually true? The man looks into the distance. That direction is the Holy Land Mariejois. It is the abode of the supreme celestial dragons. Old guys, what kind of storm will you cause? The man chuckled. In the campfire, his red hair, brighter than fire. The newspaper that recorded what Levi did in Korya village is sweeping through every corner of the world at the speed of a hurricane. The world is shaken by this. Countless people went crazy because this Levi rumor was confirmed. Even the dead can be resurrected, what else can be done? Returning to youth and curing terminal illnesses is a piece of cake. The mutilated pirate was the first to stand up. The elderly people stood up second. The third person who wanted to resurrect someone came forward. They gathered in groups to attack Levi. Of course, there are also sober people who doubt the authenticity of the news. After all, it is too incredible. But this doubt soon disappeared, because Marine hero Garp witnessed all this. Moreover, Garp did not deny it. Advertisement. This became the final spark that ignited the fuse. The whole world is boiling. The voice of crusading against Levi has even become the most unified slogan in the entire world. Thousands of people boarded the ship and set off with only one thought. Kill Levi. Because you can get everything in this world. Money, treasure, and even life. The 10th day after the incident in Korya village. Aboard the Mammoth, Levi was lying on the deck as usual. Feeling the sea breeze blowing on your face, the mood is relaxed and leisurely. Now, Levi is holding a newspaper in his hand. He looked at the huge headline with white and black letters and chuckled. A lot of debt doesn't weigh you down. Levi threw away the newspaper. There are already countless people in this world who want to kill him. A few more, so what? Levi didn't care. He had already thought about the consequences of this matter, but he still did it. People in the world didn't believe his clarification, and no matter how he explained it, it was useless. Since they feel that their blood really has this effect. Then I will do as you wish. Levi smiled, easily. He no longer thinks about it. Look into the distance. That is, continuous red mountains. It's the red line that surrounds the entire world. Levi wants to go to the new world. He suddenly wanted to see what new world had to offer. It's been 2 years since I came to this world, and I'm still just hanging out on the Grand Line. I should definitely go to New World. Anyway, I don't have any restrictions, I am unrestrained. But please stay with me until here. Levi sat up and touched the mammoth under him. Jack's boat, he was going to throw it away here. There are 2 ways to go to New World, one passes through the holy land of Mariejois. One is to sneak into the Fishmen Island. Pirates usually go to the New World through the Fishmen Island. But in fact, outside these 2 roads, advertisement. There is another way, that's climbing over the Red Line. However, few people will take the Red Line, because for a pirate, one of the most important things is his own ship. Only pirate ships can sail freely on the sea. However, if you take the Red Line, you have to cross the mountains, which is a land. This means that the pirate ship must be abandoned. Levi didn't feel any burden when he lost the boat, and he didn't feel any distress at all. After all, this is not his pirate ship. Think about the path you want to take. Levi looked at the scorching sun rising slowly from the horizon. He said in his heart, System, clock in. Open black lens bracket ding. Host checks in successfully, each physical quality plus 0.5. A simple bronze wall stands in front of Levi, the 748th grid exploded. A long sword that was entirely snow white, had an iron chain at the end of the sword, and a crescent-shaped blade at the end of the iron chain flew out. Crash into Levi. Today's template, Hitsugaya Dashiro, Bankai version. Hiss, almost at this moment, the temperature between heaven and earth. Suddenly it lowered in a straight line, there are signs of ice forming on the surface of the mammoth. However, this phenomenon disappeared in the blink of an eye, everything returned to calm, and the temperature climbed back to normal again. This template is good, you can fly. Levi felt the power in his body and chuckled. Hitsugaya Dashiro, captain of Godei 13th 10th Division in Shinigami. As captain, there is one ability that must be possessed. That's flying. Just like the previous Zaraki Kenpachi, attaching Ryatsu to the soles of your feet can achieve the effect of flying. And Hitsugaya Dashiro's ability is also very straightforward and can be summed up in one word, ice. Levi thought, suddenly paused. Maybe, there's no need to fly. He rubbed his smooth chin and raised the corners of his mouth. The words fell. Levi holds the branch in his hand. The body soars into the air, straight into the sky. Chapter 27 Sword shocks Redline, asking for flower evaluation votes. How big is Redline? No one in this world can accurately calculate it. In short, this is definitely the largest plate in the world. Surrounding the whole world, except for the celestial dragons, there are very few people living in the Red Line. Most of the sections are surrounded by mountains, with majestic peaks towering into the clouds, blocking people who want to pass through. Now, Levi is flying towards the mountains that lie like a big red dragon. And on the vast sea, also close to the Red Line, 2 pirate ships are following Levi sneakily. One of them, the red nose on the pirate flag, is extremely conspicuous. Buggy pirates. If we catch Levi, will we not have to go to sea for the rest of our lives? Mochi, who looks like a stuffed lion, stared intently at Levi's mammoth, with an idiotic smile on his face. Bah. Now that we have the money, we should go find more crew members, right? Buggy flew over with one hand and hit Mochi on the head with his knife. He imagined the bright future after capturing Levi and laughed wildly with his hands on his hips. Yeah, ha 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 ha, not just the crew, we also need to get a bigger ship and better weapons. I, Master Buggy, want to become the greatest pirate in the world. Buggy laughed so hard that he exploded with laughter. His body exploded with a bang, and his hands and feet were trembling in the sky with excitement. Hey, 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 Captain Buggy, stop laughing, Levi is in the sky. Suddenly, Kabaji, who had long hair and covered half of his face, pointed at the sky and shouted. God? Buggy was stunned. Raise the telescope and look. My eyes almost popped out of my sockets, I am Sao, it's so heavenly. Levi flew through the air and rushed towards the continuous mountains of the Red Line. Hurry up, hurry up. Buggy was about to scream, but suddenly shuddered and almost bit his tongue. Between heaven and earth, the temperature dropped sharply. Frost and fog are starting to appear. Levi stands in the air. Look straight up at the majestic mountains. Even though he flew 1,000 meters, he still failed to reach the top of the mountain, only halfway up the mountain. Red Line is like a natural barrier, dividing the world in half. Facing the miracle of nature, Levi expressed his attitude. He raised his sword, facing the vast mountains, this moment. Advertisement boundless cold air radiated from Levi's body, and the white ice shrouded him, forming a frosty Uzumaki hurricane. The temperature drops again. It has fallen below 0 degrees Celsius. Sit upright in the frosty sky. Levi's eyes flashed with cold electricity, and he thought silently in his heart. Boom, cold air shrinks. Cover all of it on Levi's body, forming a pair of frost armor. Behind Levi, a pair of giant ice crystal wings that are several meters long condense and grow. Bankai open. Rumble. Levi, raise the branch in your hand. A sword thrust out. Boundless cold air gushes out. Sweeping across the sky and the earth, covering the mountains and the sea. The sky and the earth are freezing cold, the wind is freezing to the bone, and winter has arrived. Crack. The rolling seawater is stagnant, the soaring seabird pauses. The swaying trees are still, everything in the world. Under this sword, it turns into the ultimate gorgeous ice sculpture. This is like the return of the Ice Age, a sword thrust out. Thousands of meters turn into frost, the sky and the earth are all white. This sword, an ice dragon emerged from under the sword. Go straight to the red line, boom, this is an extremely terrifying sound. It was a blast that was more deafening than tens of thousands of artillery firing at the same time. It was the most shocking loud noise Buggy and others had ever heard in their lives. Boom, the collision of the two, let the heaven and earth shake. Dust and ice shards exploded in all directions at the same time, rising into the sky like a hurricane, covering the entire sky. Next, huge rocks rolled down from the mountains and smashed into the sea, causing huge waves and turbid seawater rushing in all directions. Advertisement: the red line has stood in the world for countless years, a natural barrier that divides the world in half. For the first time ever, been shaken. How is this possible? Buggy screamed. 2 strings of mucus spurted out, and they froze into 2 popsicles halfway, hanging on the big red nose. This looks extremely funny, but Buggy doesn't care about his image at all. He was so scared that he wanted to bury his head in his crotch. Buggy saw it clearly, the red mountain range that isolates the world. An obvious crack appeared. Red line, got a visible crack from Levi? Seriously, is this really happening? Buggy was so frightened that his head flew up. He really flew up and his head separated from his body. Will the red line also have cracks? Beheaded by Levi? This is a feat worthy of being recorded in history. Levi single-handedly defeats red line. This moment. The sea within tens of thousands of meters adjacent to this section of red line is rolling and roaring. Waves came one after another, covering one layer after another. The nearby pirates didn't understand what was happening at all, and were swept into the sea by the huge waves in the blink of an eye. Even, there are small islands that are directly submerged by the waves. Completely become a part of the vast sea, at the same time. Ouch, deep sea riot. A terrifying sea kings with a head and body length of hundreds or even thousands of meters rushed out of the deep sea. They twisted their bodies in fear and roared to the sky. Even beasts feel it. The world they're familiar with is shaking. This is a scene as if a natural disaster has struck. Just looking at it will make your legs weak, in the face of the terrifying nature. Human beings are as small as dust. However, this sentence does not apply to Levi. Because, he is shaking up nature. The whole world is in turmoil because of Levi. Chapter 28. Mariejois is shaking, asking for flower evaluation votes. Boom. Red line is trembling. This continent has stood for who knows how many years, blocking the passage of tens of millions of people. Today, because of Levi's sword, trembling, cracking, cracks appearing. This must be a scene that shocks the world, because this is something that no one has been able to do throughout history. But today, Levi did it. However, the Buggy pirates, who have witnessed history with their own eyes at this moment, have no desire to sigh at all. Rumble, the sea Buggy pirates are like a small boat, rising and falling with the rolling waves, and may sink into the sea at any time. Captain, are we still going to kill Levi? Mochi hugged the lion, shivering from the cold. I'll kill your mother. Buggy was almost frightened to death by Mochi's words. What the hell? Leaving it so far away, Buggy felt like his brain was going to be frozen. Is this going to kill Levi? Serve it as sashimi? Buggy is now extremely grateful that he hasn't had time to do anything to Levi yet. This is absolutely a matter of death and no life. Thinking of this, Buggy looked at the sea not far away. He remembers that there was a pirate ship that was also following Levi at first. I should have the same idea as myself, it's all about Levi. However, this look made Buggy feel like he was dying. Boom. Thousands of meters high in the sky, a huge red rock rolled down from the mountain peak. Falling from the sky, smashed straight into the pirate ship. Just a face-to-face meeting, the ship was destroyed and people died. Not even a scream could be uttered. Huge waves hit, ruthlessly submerging the crumbling pirate ship, and swept everything into the deep sea. Gulu. Buggy swallowed hard in his stomach. Is this the result of being an enemy of Levi? Buggy's whole body shook like a sieve. See you later, Levi. Be sure to take a detour. Advertisement. Now. Red line is still wavering. A crack half a meter wide appeared in the red mountain range. Levi sheathed his sword and stood. His brows were frivolous and he said with emotion. It's not like this thing can't be broken. The red line divided the world into 2 halves, causing great inconvenience to the world. But why has no one thought about breaking the red line for countless years? There is only one reason. Hardness. Red lines is hard enough. It is a natural chasm that blocks everyone, but Levi did it today. He broke through this natural chasm, a sword thrust out. Red line is cracking. All this today is destined to make the whole world tremble, a real tremor, a tremor on the physical level. The red line is too big, and its tremors will definitely cause widespread turmoil. Levi remained unmoved, his dark eyes still calm. He made another move. Raise your sword. This moment, heaven and earth will once again be shrouded in white. The world will tremble again because of Levi. He is going to break this natural chasm that has existed since ancient times. The seat of the world government headquarters, the Holy Land Mariejois. This is on the Red Line. It is also the residence of the most noble celestial dragons in the world. Now, the 5 elders, who represent the highest authority in the world, gathered in a quiet and luxurious palace to enjoy a leisurely afternoon tea time. Levi. He is a mistake that should not exist in this world. The blonde 5 elders took a sip of tea, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. In front of him, on the luxurious tea table, there's a report on display. 2 big words on the title page. Levi. I'm afraid he has no rules at all in his heart. He is a completely carefree and unrestrained person, and this type of person is also the most difficult to deal with. The 5 elders in Taoist robes spoke slowly. He lowered his eyes, his palm gently brushed against the katana resting on his lap. Is he the recipient of the ultimate secret of op fruit? Nagasu 5 elders folded his hands on his knees and spoke slowly, but people had to pay attention. 5 elders, who was wearing a skullcap, took a bite of the pastry and chewed it gently in his mouth. It's just the ultimate secret of op fruit, but it can't be like this. You and I both know op fruit. Advertisement. He was still about to speak, but his brows suddenly frowned. The teacups placed on the table, it shook without any warning. The tea water ripples in circles. The ground beneath your feet is also trembling. What's going on? The blonde 5 elders' eyes narrowed. He tapped his fingers lightly on the armrest, dong dong dong. There were 3 short, dull sounds in succession. Almost the moment this voice appeared, the CP agency wearing a white suit opened the door and walked in. 5 adults. What are your orders? The CP organization knelt down respectfully. He is always at the door, just ready to be there when the 5 elders need him. Why is the earth trembling? The blonde 5 elders said calmly. Sir, the source of the tremors comes from the ground. It is initially speculated that the collision of plates caused the earthquake. The CP agency was respectful to Kaido. Earthquake? As soon as these 2 words come out? The 5 elders all looked slightly moved. There has never been an earthquake in Mariejois. Because the ground beneath their feet is the Red Line. Robust and as a whole, the Red Line is virtually earthquake-proof. Go down and continue checking. The blonde 5 elders waved his hand. He vaguely felt, it's not that simple, shock. It's getting more and more intense. It was like a real earthquake. Outside the palace, earthquake like never before. Breaking the peace of the Holy Land Mariejois, instant chaos. What happened? Why is the earth shaking? Where is the CP organization? Get out quickly and stop the shaking. Who is disturbing the noble celestial dragons? Countless celestial dragons ran out from the Western-style palace. Their ugly, fat faces twisted together, frightened and angry. These self-righteous celestial dragons, who have always lived in the Holy Land Mariejois. I didn't even know there was a natural phenomenon like earthquake in this world. Chapter 29. Open up a third way to the new world for people, asking for flower evaluation votes. At the same time, this is the office also located in Mariejois. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Kong's office. Commander Kong. The CP agency found no abnormality in the waters around Mariejois. It is initially speculated that it is an earthquake caused by crustal movement. In front of the desk, a messenger brought the conclusions of the CP agency. This is not an earthquake. Kong frowned as he made this judgment. This is the result of analysis based on the experience of the commander-in-chief of the 3 armed forces. Shock, it's one after another, this kind of vibration. More like something is hitting the Red Line. Could it be that all the Sea Kings went crazy at the same time and crashed into the Red Line desperately? Send troops immediately and explore along the Red Line to see what is hitting the mainland. Kong suddenly stood up and said to the messenger. Yes, the messenger nodded, he just finished speaking. The ground beneath my feet shook violently, he almost fell to the ground. And at this moment, outside the office window, there was a deafening roar. Dong, several bungalows, under Kong's surprised gaze. Collapse. Lord St. Williams. Damn it, come here and lend a hand, move the rocks away and save people. Outside the window, it was extremely noisy, with screams and calls for help coming and going. Sora's heart was trembling. He saw further, luxurious bungalows collapsed one after another. Today, no one knows how many celestial dragons will die. At the same time, Levi put away the branches, and the cold gradually calmed down. Standing across the sea, a large hole with a radius of hundreds of meters appeared in the towering red mountains. This mountain range stretches for countless miles. Under Levi's sword, got stabbed and penetrated. Through the hole, you can also clearly see the opposite sea area blocked by the Red Line. This is definitely a shocking scene. This means that this history is broken. Advertisement: the impossible becomes possible. Today I will be a good person and create benefits for people in this world. Levi looked at the big hole he had made and smiled with satisfaction. Since then, the third road to the new world has been opened. Anyone can pass through this hole and travel back and forth to the new world. Levi chuckled, very satisfied with my masterpiece. Suddenly, he thought of something and looked behind him. The turmoil on the sea has gradually subsided, but the mammoth that originally stayed on the sea has disappeared. The regimental flag of the Beast's pirates is still flying on the sea. This is, sinking? Levi blinked and looked further away. The pirates following behind also sank. Levi shrugged. He doesn't care, if you follow me, you deserve to die. Next moment, Levi flies up again, traveling through the sky. But, he didn't go through the big hole in the red line. The other side. Buggy huddled on the edge of the deck and shivered. No, to be precise, he was shivering on the edge. His head, still hanging on the mast. When the wind blows, the big red nose sways. Buggy was so scared that his head fell off. What just happened was so terrible. It's like the end of the world. I accidentally got too frightened and my head flew up, just as a strong gust of wind came. This head is impartial and just hung on the mast. Why don't you guys help me take off my head? Buggy is going to be P***D off with Mochi and Kabaji standing on the deck. These two bastards, the pestle was motionless there, like two silly geese. Didn't you see that the great Captain Buggy couldn't get up and down with his head hanging from the mast? Buggy shouted. Suddenly I felt, something seems wrong? Advertisement. The expressions of Mochi and Kabaji didn't look like they were in a daze, but more like they were frightened. Gulu. Buggy swallowed. He turned his head mechanically. He looked in the direction where the two people's faces were facing. But see, I don't know when, Levi was actually standing on the left deck. He has a relaxed demeanor and an upright posture. It was as if everything he had just done was something he could easily do. What's even more shocking is that the man who cut through the red line. Everywhere, spotless, oh my god, Buggy screamed. Another excessive fright, he actually helped Buggy's head fall off the mast. Puff thump thump. See, Buggy's body curled up on the ground suddenly stood up, rushed out with a few steps, and caught his head firmly. I don't know if I didn't control it well, or did it on purpose. Buggy becomes a whole body again. It's so easy to stop in front of Levi. Hey, is this the lone swordsman Levi? I just happened to pass by and saw your heroic appearance. It is so powerful that people can't help but admire you. I think the title of Whitebeard's #1 man in the world should be given to you. The 5 elders would all fall in front of you. Kneel. Buggy rubbed his little hands flatteringly, and when he opened his mouth, a series of flattery came out. Levi looked directly at Buggy, nor express any opinion. The dark eyes were staring at him like this. Buggy is creepy. He simply used his lifelong talents and knowledge, throwing out stupid words one after another as if they were free, and he was so eloquent that he could almost say that Levi was his living ancestor. A few minutes passed before Levi opened his mouth. Said the first words after meeting Buggy. Buggy, I'm not here to fight with you. Buggy listened. Joy again, another crash. The joy is that he can save his life. The breakdown is. You're not here to fight, you should have told me earlier. Why are you just staring at me? Don't you know it's scary? I came to you to borrow something. Levi's voice echoed faintly. Your bike. Chapter 30. The man destined to conquer the world, asking for flower evaluation votes. Borrow. A bicycle? Buggy snorted and sucked in the snot. Is there such an operation? While surprised, Buggy also breathed a sigh of relief. Bikes are affordable, although the bicycles are used by Mochi and Liuqi. As the captain, it makes sense for me to decide to lend them out. At worst, we'll get them new cars later. If that doesn't work, Kabaji's wheelbarrow can be given to them as compensation. Hey, the bike you wanted is here. With a flattering smile on his face, Buggy flew out with his right arm and pulled out the bicycles belonging to Mochi and Liuqi from the cabin. Thanks, Buggy. Levi chuckled lightly and jumped off the boat on Buggy's bicycle. Below, it's a rough sea. Buggy's nose ran down again. Jumping into the sea now, he quickly rushed forward and looked down the boat. Look at this. Buggy's mouth opened uncontrollably. See, Levi didn't sink into the sea at all, he is floating on the sea. Click. The cold air spreads, the sea freezes. An ice road, starting from Levi, it spreads out to the endless sea. And Levi, just on this ice road, riding the bike. Today I am Kuzan. Ah la 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 la. Levi pedaled his bicycle and laughed like Kuzan for fun. His back, tall and thin, marine coat billows up behind. That leisurely and contented laughter echoed far, far away. This man. Buggy watched Levi disappear at the end of the sea. He wasn't afraid anymore, but the scene before him left him with an unforgettable memory in his life. This is not because of fear, but, sigh, how could someone like Levi exist in this world? Advertisement. The sea is mysterious and turbulent. Even the top pirates dare not say that they have conquered the sea. The legendary pirate Golden Lion suddenly encountered huge waves when fighting Roger, under the shocking waves. The Golden Lion pirates are all wiped out. This is the power of the sea. It makes people yearn for it, but it also makes people taboo. But now, Levi built an ice road and rode leisurely on the sea. Isn't this like stepping on the sea under your feet and conquering the mysterious sea? But then again, Levi's sword breaks red line, so why are you conquering nature? This is a man destined to conquer the world. This thought came to Buggy's mind. Captain Buggy, why does Levi know your name? Mochi suddenly shouted, remembering that what Levi said when he left just now was, thank you Buggy. This is directly pronouncing Buggy's name. Yeah, why does Levi know my name? He called me Buggy. Buggy scratched his nose and blinked. Ahahaha. Did Levi pay attention to me? Buggy's face showed excitement, and his red nose became even brighter. That must be the case. It's because Captain Buggy is so powerful that Levi remembers him. Only a strong man like Lord Buggy can be remembered by Levi. Mochi approached Buggy and showed 2 thumbs up. I heard a rumor before. When Levi met Garp, he said something about the great hero of the Marine Corps. Who doesn't remember? Kabaji thought thoughtfully and said seriously. Levi remembers Garp, and he also remembers Captain Buggy. Doesn't this mean that Captain Buggy is on the same level as the great marine hero Garp? Oh my god. It must be like this, Captain Buggy is a pirate hero. Bah, he is a pirate tycoon. Mochi's face was extremely exaggerated and he jumped excitedly. Is this really the case? Buggy scratched the back of his head pretending to be embarrassed. But the corners of his mouth raised crazily, and the red nose exploded with excitement. It looked like he was gibbering. Of course, Captain Buggy is the greatest pirate. Mochi and Kabaji rushed to praise while the iron was hot. This time, Buggy finally released all his emotions. Put your hands on your hips, look up to the sky and laugh wildly. Ha 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 ha. Even Levi knows my name. It seems that Captain Buggy is destined to become the greatest pirate in the world. Looking at the posture, there is a tendency to explode myself with laughter. Captain Buggy is mighty. Mochi and Kabaji also started cheering. After laughing for a while, Buggy almost stopped breathing. I saw him wave his hand and said with great enthusiasm, "Set the boat, let's go back." Even so. But Buggy was really scared. Levi penetrated the red line. Who knows who will be attracted to him? He must leave this place of right and wrong quickly. However, Buggy has been talking boldly for several minutes. The ship didn't move at all, advertisement until then. Mochi, who was sweating coldly, walked up and said cautiously, "Captain Buggy, our ship seems to be frozen." When Buggy heard this, his heart skipped a beat. He rushed to the edge of the deck, looked down. See, frost has already formed on the bottom of the boat and is firmly fixed to the sea surface. The cold air Levi releases when riding a bicycle. It actually froze the bottom of the boat, and the scariest thing is, this is the ice released by Levi. They have witnessed the hardness with their own eyes. Even if Levi doesn't attack with all his strength, they also have to dig in for who knows how long. Why are you two still standing there? Get out of here and cut the ice for me. Buggy screamed in fear, and his round head almost flew up again. The investigation into why Red Line was in turmoil is in full swing. Finally, after half a day, the CP agency came to 5 elders. 5 adults. This is a picture taken on the Red Line. This should be the source of the vibration. The CP agency knelt on one knee, dragging a piece of intelligence in his hand, with cold sweat flowing on his face. This is not because facing the 5 elders is too stressful. But, the weight of this information in your hand. Shocking. The blonde 5 elders picked up the information slowly. The first page of information, it's a photo, this. The blonde 5 elders paused. His pupils suddenly shrank. The photo shows a mountain range on the Red Line. And on this mountain range that has stood for countless years, towering into the cloud cliffs like a natural chasm barrier. A large hole with a diameter of several hundred meters suddenly appeared, and runs through the entire mountain range. It's like a tunnel connecting the first half of the Grand Line to the New World. Even if he is the leader of the world government, when I saw this photo, I was moved and shocked.